She didn't. I mean, she didn't have the child
No, she had.
reportedly.
Yeah, but it's a small little school and everybody talks and you can't stay there. It's either the kids go or the teacher also slash nanny goes.
How about the second gentleman bag the nanny? Huh? Doug? What's up, Doug?
Dougie.
Well, he's
Dougie,
lecturing
Dougie.
the rest of us on toxic masculinity. Remember that when he sat down with New York Times dandy Jonathan Capehart?
There's too much of toxicity,
Oh, really?
masculine toxicity out there. We've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and, angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite. Strength is how you show your love for people. Strength is how you are for people,
Right.
how you have their
is
back,
great.
and how you stick up for other people, and pushing out against bullies. I mean, that's what I believe it is. So every time I can speak against this toxicity, we're seeing it with our younger people. We're seeing it in our discourse, in our politics, in the media. You're seeing it as it relates to so many of the issues that we're pushing back on. So I think it's a problem, and I'm going to continue to use this platform every time I get to speak out against this toxic masculinity that's out there.
Is that the rap you use with the nanny and Kamala, Doug? Is that it? You modern day Alan Alda, you?
The poor lady. I mean, she's 47 years old. 47. But this is what she looked like back in the day. But she's not. I mean,
she looked exactly like she does now,
No,
but slightly
no.
younger.
Hey, she didn't deny the story because DailyMail.com, who broke the story.
Nobody's going to deny Doug.
She was no, because she's a nanny now for a millionaire family in the Hamptons, and she commented, "I'm kind of freaked out right now," and then walked away as she was
Yeah.
caring for other people's children.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure
What's-
she's probably going to get fired from that job too.
Well, what's going on in that house? She making the rounds? Huh?
I feel bad for her. Oh,
Oh,
God.
it's terrible. Oh, it's a tragic story. No, of course. It's it's just good people, just a couple of good people trying to make their way in this crazy mixed up world. Doug, the nanny, Kamala. Yeah. Yeah.
A close friend with direct knowledge of the affair and pregnancy told DailyMail.com that Naylor did not keep the child, though. Her social media shows a video of a mysterious baby girl named Brooke in 2009, and that's the year the baby would have been born.
Wow. Yeah, the intrigue. No, it's not that interesting. Doug. Doug, play ya. He issued a statement exclusively to CNN because he knows they will treat this story with the dignity that is required. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He said, we had some struggles in the marriage. This is again while he was married to his first wife.
Yeah.
And we worked through them, and now we're all very happy, or something to that effect. It was very well crafted. Yeah.
The affair allegedly broke up their 16-year marriage in 2009. But they're all chummy now. His ex-wife, Kirsten, she's 57. She's a movie producer. And they have kids, 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And they all get along with Kamala.
What are you, his biographer? Who cares?
No, I'm
this
just
is about
saying that
making
this
fun
is-
of Doug. I don't need like the shoe size and what time, what parks they go to. Yeah. They have a son, Cole, and a daughter, Ella, who's a 25-year-old model and fashion designer. Oh yeah. I've seen her. I've seen her.
A model? Oh.
Uh,
And you're a men's underwear model, right, Dan? If
Not
she's
any-
modeling, you are.
Not anymore. That was back in the day. She was adorable. Everyone loved her. She was the best teacher. Said a celebrity event planner who lived with the nanny for more than a year, 17 or 18 years ago. Every parent wanted her to be the teacher of their kid. She was the perfect person. She came from a good family. She was not pregnant. There was no baby I would know. Well, I don't know.
Wouldn't.
I don't know.
Because his wife didn't know.
Doug said there was because he's essentially copped to the affair, and yeah,
Do you think this is going to affect her campaign? Because according to the Daily Mail, the Harris campaign is extremely worried by this news. Should they be worried by this news?
No. I mean, because of course everybody did the right thing. They paid to kill the kid and make the whole thing go away. That's what the left does. So it was handled beautifully. It was handled the way that you would expect Kamala and the second gentleman, Doug,
so
to handle it.
I'm never going to look at him the same, ever. He's so hot. Oh, my God. I just feel bad that she was forced to leave her job as a teacher at the Willows, and it's like Latin or Francis Parker here. It's about $42,000 a year to go there. Oh.
During my first marriage, Kirsten and I went through some tough times on account of my actions. I took responsibility in the years since. We worked through things as a family and come out stronger on the other side. All right, Doug. Taking care of business. Second gentleman.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What do they say?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
AM 560, The Answer.
But we also got reaction from Kamala
Oh.
when this story broke. Did you hear what she said?
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. She said, solidarity with her girlfriend.
Yeah, she got an
Girl!
abortion. It's all good.
You go get it.
Dougie.
They ain't like us. They ain't.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, Donald Trump has agreed to debate Kamala Harris on September 4th, but has Kamala Harris agreed to debate Trump? 5:38.
And debating the debate. But now let's head into the newsroom. Welcome back, Mike Scott. We missed you on Friday.
Well, good to be missed. 78 degrees at 5:31. Hurricane Debbie nearing landfall in Florida and set to bring disruptive rain to the region, as Lisa Carton reports from Miami.
Tropical storm Debbie continues to get stronger as it heads toward landfall in the Big Bend area near Tallahassee, Florida. National Hurricane Center Director Dr. Michael Brennan says pressure is dropping as the storm starts to develop the classic features of a hurricane.
Some signs and radar imagery that it's starting to try and develop an eye wall, and that will be the key for Debbie to go on and intensify, perhaps even rapidly strengthen before it makes landfall along the Florida Big Bend coast tomorrow.
Debbie Debbie is expected to be a Category 1 storm by the time it reaches land in the St. Mark's area Monday morning. I'm Lisa Carton.
80-mile-an-hour winds clocked this morning. Charleston, South Carolina Mayor William Cogswell says the storm will be active there.
All predictions point to this not being your normal rainy day, so please make necessary precautions.
11 inches of rain could fall as Debbie comes ashore. The Biden administration continuing its push for a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas amid rising tensions in the Middle East. White House Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner.
That remains job one for us, right alongside the work that we're doing to defend Israel from a potential outside attack.
Iran has vowed to retaliate against Israel for the killings. The Democrat National Committee says Vice President Kamala Harris has enough delegates to be the official party nominee for the White House. Party Chair Jamie Harrison says it will become official today. Meantime, Harris continued VP interviews at the VP residence at the Naval Observatory in Washington, where Fox's Madeline Rivera is this morning.
Vice President Kamala Harris will reportedly be looking for how well she gets along with them and how each one can boost her chances of winning 270 electoral votes. Per the Washington Post, Harris is speaking face-to-face with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. It's unclear if the other possible candidates, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg have also met or are set to meet with Harris. Shapiro and Kelly have been seen as favorites because of their potential ability to court independent and moderate voters in battleground states.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is defending his place as Donald Trump's running mate.
Look, I recognize that there are a lot of folks, even in the GOP establishment, and certainly on the far left, who don't like the fact that Donald Trump picked me. I actually take their criticism as a badge of honor.
In an interview with Fox News, Vance was asked about those criticisms and him being a poor choice. The Democrat governor of Washington State, Jay Inslee, has had to issue an emergency order to keep fuel flowing to firefighters. The order suspends limits on vehicle driver hours for fuel delivery. Washington's Department of Natural Resources saying they don't have enough aviation fuel to fight some forest fires, but are not expecting shortages now. Search began Sunday night for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. Chicago police Marine units conducting a search near Foster Beach in the Edgewater neighborhood. Authorities are investigating after a man attacked several people at a McDonald's with a hatchet-like object. Chicago police say the attacker walked into the fast food restaurant yesterday morning in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue and demanded free food. When the cashier refused, the suspect began to hit victims with the heavy blade. An 18-year-old and 2 women were sent to the hospital. At least 43 people have been shot so far, 5 fatally, across the city of Chicago this weekend. Cubs earn a series victory over the Cardinals with a 6-2 win. White Sox have lost 20 in a row, falling to Minnesota 13-7. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you can save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk doesn't hear a reason.
Listen carefully. He does not tell you why. Now, we think we know why. Is it poll numbers? Was it threats? Was it intimidation? Was it they go after your kids? What is it, Joe Biden? He won't tell you. Is Joe Biden really going that willingly? And does Joe Biden harbor resentment?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course.
Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
If you're looking for a caring dentist and an experienced dental staff who'll treat you like family, then it's time to call Dr. Y at Oak Lawn Dental LLC. Dr. Yorks and his team will create a smile that you'll want to share with family and friends. Go to oaklawndentist.com for a complete list of services or call Oak Lawn Dental for an appointment with Dr. Y at 708-424-5700. And for a limited time, get a $100 credit on your new account. Call 708-424-5700. Oak Lawn Dental LLC for the smile you deserve.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:38. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound already building. Foster to Montrose. 25. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike accident. 2 left lanes blocked. It's on the inbound side of 290 between Des Plaines Avenue and Oak Park Avenue. Traffic, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. Dan and Amy continue next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partial sunshine with a thunderstorm possible crossing the area. Still a humid day ahead, high 86. Currently 77. Next news at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We'll return to POTUS politics. See what my boy Doug is up to a little bit later.
Woo, he's hot.
But on Friday, the acting director of the Secret Service, who we got introduced to earlier in the week, Ron Rowe, had a press conference, and I don't know why. He had a 15-minute press conference taking questions from the assembled D.C. press corps, and I really don't know why, because I didn't hear anything other than the pro forma announcement of a task force new from Ron Rowe. Here's what he repeated, a timeline that he went over along with the deputy director of the FBI, earlier in the week when he was before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Just to refresh your recollection, that timeline, particularly the last 30 seconds prior to the shooter opening fire on July 13th on Donald Trump and the attendees of that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
At 5:45 p.m., a local Butler County Emergency Services Unit counter-sniper team member texted the Secret Service counter-sniper team leader about a suspicious person and sent 2 photos of the individual, later identified as the assailant. At 5:53 p.m., the Secret Service counter-sniper team leader texted the Secret Service counter sniper teams that local law enforcement was looking for a suspicious individual outside of the perimeter lurking around the AGR building. At this time, Secret Service personnel were operating with the knowledge that local law enforcement was working on an issue of a suspicious individual. The concept of local law enforcement working on such issues is common at sites. And on July 13th, there were over 100 calls for support. At 6 p.m., former President Trump took the stage to begin remarks. And based on what I know right now, neither the Secret Service counter sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the AGR building with a firearm. It is my understanding that personnel were not aware the assailant had a firearm until they heard gunshots. At 6:11 p.m., a member of the former President Trump's protective detail contacted their Pittsburgh field office counterpart to inquire about the radio update that there was an issue local law enforcement was looking into near the perimeter. At 6:11 p.m., the assailant's first volley of 3 shots was fired, and within 3 seconds, the former president's detail rushed the stage and covered former President Trump, shielding him with their own bodies. Back to my opening statement, where the members of the detail, they did not, all they knew that the issue, that the locals were working an issue at the president's 3 o'clock, which would have been off to his right, which is where the shot came from.
Right. So they knew that the locals were working an issue at the president's 3 o'clock where the shot came from. And nobody took any interest in paying attention to what was happening at the president's 3 o'clock, as we see video of
You see him running.
The shooter running across the sloped roof that was too much to navigate, according to the former Secret Service director, now resigned, Kim Cheadle. So 26 minutes, 5:45, he says that Secret Service counter sniper gets a text from local law enforcement counter sniper saying they have a security situation. That was 5:45, 6:11, the shots are fired. So 26 minutes, and first of all, again, these same questions, because we don't have sufficient answers. So you have the security situation, and fine, it's not unusual, but did you want to double check it and get the particulars before you greenlight President Trump to go on stage? No, they didn't want to do that. Now you know, we didn't know it was a guy with a gun, but we knew there was a security situation at the president's 3 o'clock. And you're just going to wait for the counter sniper head for local to text the counter sniper head for Secret Service again without getting any more detail. Oh, by the way, you also know it's at the president's 3 o'clock. And then you see a roof at the president's 3 o'clock, an elevated position at the president's 3 o'clock that is completely unguarded. And there's no evasive action that's taken to address that gap in the security. And this is all you get. This is what you got for the better part of an hour on Friday. And then he gives you the repetition of, oh, it's a failure. You know, if you say it's a failure enough, that sounds like he's taking accountability. The buck stops with me. But it's not really me. It's the agency. It was the agency failure. So, again, we assign collective responsibilities so there's no individual responsibility.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I got to tell you, though.
You may not be able to tell us names or
What was that? Oh, I don't know what that was. Excuse me, I lost my complete train of thought.
Oh, good, because I was trying to play the clip of him repeating his, we're all responsible, so none of us are responsible.
People want accountability. You may not be able to tell us names or positions or something, but will you be able to say that people have been disciplined? People want to hear that there's some accountability here.
I will be able to, at least at a high level, provide at least some type of statement that people are being accountable, being held accountable.
Digital obtained some new video of somebody on the roof, which we believe is the assailant that was running back and forth while President Trump was speaking. What do you make when you see of that? How does that go with this timeline here?
Yeah, so it affirms to me, and again, and you heard this from the FBI, and they're still conducting interviews and looking at this. It even just affirms to me that this was a failure. We should have had better protection for the protectee. We should have had better coverage on that roof line. We should have had at least some other set of eyes from the Secret Service point of view covering that. That building was very close to that outer perimeter, and we should have had more of a presence. And so as far as the timeline of him running back and forth, I know the FBI has provided a bit of a chronology as well. And so I'd have to go back and look at that. But the bottom line is this, David. This was a Secret Service failure. That roof line should have been covered. We should have had better eyes on that.
I mean, I think he was having that press conference to try and save his job because he knows his job's on the line. But still, that statement, too, that we should have done better. A man is dead. A presidential candidate, a former president, almost died, and 2 other people were seriously injured and shot. That's not good enough.
So on the inoperability of the radio communications, they're supposed to be interoperable, and they were inoperable. This is sort of an amazing characterization he makes of the comms between Secret Service and local law enforcement as a matter of course. So we didn't know, right? We didn't know because we're on different channels, and never the two shall meet.
I've commissioned a task force, and that task force is going to be leveraging the resources of the Department of Homeland Security. It'll be co-chaired in all likelihood by someone from the Secret Service and someone from CISA. And I think we're also going to bring in some state and local law enforcement. The interoperability challenge, it's not an easy fix. It's not as simple as just trying to figure out the local frequency of the agency you're working with and then piping that into your radio network. It requires a substantial technical fix. In the meantime, before we can get to that, what I need to have is I need to make sure that our folks, when they're out there, we use a counterpart system. On the day in Butler, we had a Pennsylvania state trooper in our security room. They also had a unified command post that had some of the other agencies that were on site that day. It is plainly obvious to me that we didn't have access to certain information, not by anybody's fault. It just so happened that there was a sense of urgency, that there might have been radio traffic that we missed. We have to do a better job of that. So moving forward, in addition to this task force that we'll provide more information on next week as we begin to stand that up, I've also directed all of our SACs, our special agents in charge of field offices across the country, to reevaluate where we put our security rooms. If a state or local sets up a unified command post, maybe we need to be in that room as well, as opposed to just being in another room and relying on that counterpart system. It was so apparent to me that in this incident, in the final 30 seconds, which has been the focus of what happened before the assailant opened fire, there was clearly radio transmissions that may have happened on that local radio net that we did not have. And so we have to do a better job of co-locating, leveraging that counterpart system, and this is going to drive our operations going forward.
I mean, is this guy serious? Is anybody listening to what he's saying? The DC press corps is, so lobotomized that it's like, oh, he's using leverage and other words that sound, sort of corporate speak and sounds pretty serious. Oh, a task force. Well, that'll ensure nothing gets accomplished and no lessons are learned. So, yeah, would it be a good idea? You have a point person to make sure that the radio transmissions, the radio channels between local and Secret Service are interoperational. That's what they said. And but it's nobody's fault that they weren't. Okay. And they're always inoperable, is what he said.
Well, that's not right. I mean,
it's not unusual for us to be flying blind with respect to what local law enforcement under our direction is doing. So here's what we're thinking now. Here's what we're thinking, since we didn't know there was a man with a gun on a roof because we weren't on the same channel. We didn't have comms with local law enforcement that were working on the security issue, but we had no idea about it. Since we didn't know, now we're thinking, let's see, maybe we should put one of our guys with the local law enforcement and one of local law enforcement with our guys so that the two entities can communicate with one another, particularly since we're in command of the entire event, the entire footprint, the entire security detail. We think now we've learned a lesson. We think we should be able to communicate with them, and we should be able to hear what they're communicating with each other. Wow. What a great idea. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Corey in Woodlawn.
Listening to this gentleman on the phone, there is no way in the world, if I was a presidential candidate, I would trust this individual with my safety. And responsibility comes from the top. Where is Biden on this agency? A lot of people should be fired, and a lot of people should be replaced.
They need to revamp the whole system.
Well, they got a task
whole
force.
agency.
Let's not rush to judgment. Don't rush to judgment. I'm going to do this with integrity, Judge Howley, and I'm going to do it right, and I'm not going to persecute the men and women of Secret Service. We think that after this incident, if there's a man on the roof and somebody sees it, they should be able to communicate that to us. Great. Yeah. I hope the task force confirms that that is indeed a sensible position to take. We should know when there is a potential threat on the life of a protectee, a Secret Service protectee. That's a great idea. Wonderful. Mike, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Amy and Dan. Every police department in the United States of America has extra radios. So how hard would it be for an advance team to sign out 24 radios for the local law enforcement agency that's also going to be helping, and just have them in all the people? So you have to carry an extra radio. And for them to say that none of this was recorded on the radio transmissions, that's insane. All radio transmissions are recorded in Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mike. Well,
that's just another lie.
You can't be. I don't have time to be carrying around all these radios and talking to all these different people at different.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. Again, maybe Mike from the South Side should be a member of this task force to come up with these great insights. Like, here's a radio so you can hear what's going on our channel. And yes, I want a little bit more color on the transcripts of those transmissions, because the understanding we got from retired Secret Service with whom we've spoke over the last couple of weeks is that there is recording of all these transmissions, and we should be able to get a transcript, and we should be able then to identify who made what decisions at what times based on what they were or were not seeing.
But I think people forget he's not only the Republican nominee for president, he is a former president himself. And I was golfing with this guy at South Shore, black officer, 32 years.
South Shore.
Yeah, South Shore. It's a Park District course.
I'm familiar with it.
Oh, it's pretty. It's whatever. But he,
Is it 9 holes?
Yes, it is.
It's so lame.
Oh my God. And he was at South Shore in June 24th of this year when they had the memorial service for Michelle Obama's mom. And he said, Amy, there were snipers everywhere. He got so much more protection than Trump did on that day. There was a fourth of the people covering Trump than they were covering Barack Obama. And he thinks it was a complete, he goes, somebody wanted him killed. But he's like, you see a guy running on the rooftop. It's like he wanted to get caught.
Yeah. Again, I say, listen to Kim Cheadle first, and listen to Ron Rowe, his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and then this press conference, and tell me if the evidence that we have so far isn't manifestly on the side of incompetence.
It's criminal. Someone died.
Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Good morning and happy Monday. My favorite is, what we had was a failure of imagination.
Yeah.
Well, you have a job because somebody imagined the actual potential that something could happen. And, this is late-stage republic, bureaucratic, administrative state stuff. The worst get these jobs, not based on any merit. And you know what? Look, my son is a captain for a major, and he tells me all the time, Dad, it's getting scary up there. And, we start balling up aluminum at the end of runways or in the middle of the sky. I don't want to hear, oh, well, we failed to imagine that two airliners moving at a closing distance of 1,000 feet a second could actually collide. This is crazy dangerous stuff. And if I can just, listen to this moron protect his ass, and then listening to this is the most effeminate group of, if I may, the most effeminate group of leaders we've ever had. Mayorkas at the border, Garland as the Justice Department. It's just how we got so inverse that the worst of us got to the top befuddles me. But thank you for holding our banner, and have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Except for Doug, second gentleman, he's killing it.
He's hopping on that nanny and school teacher. Good for him. Yeah.
Bob and Waukegan.
Yeah, it's all just basically bull jive. I think when they get to the bottom line, you're going to find out that Mr. Rowe, who is now in charge, of the Secret Service, was the guy in charge of setting all this stuff up. That's why he's not giving him any information. And aside for conspiracy theorists, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, every left-wing media site was alerted to that, so they could be there and film everything. And my wife just happened to see yesterday that CNN had never covered a Trump rally in the entire time he's been having them. And the first one they covered was the assassination rally. So, just as an aside.
I don't think that's true. Thanks for the call, Bob. I don't think that's true that CNN's never had a camera at his rallies. In fact, the reason I know it's not true is because he's often at his rallies, indoor or outdoor, pointed out look, the fake news, the camera's back there, the fake news is here, and so on and so forth.
Right, but they don't always take it live. But
I understand,
yeah.
but I mean that is that is connecting to data points that you have to make the connection. They don't just naturally connect, or one does not indicate in any conclusive way the other, is my point. But Bob said this is for fodder for conspiracy theorists. But let's try to keep our both feet planted on the ground here when we talk about this stuff. There's plenty of stuff that's being presented to us from the likes of acting director Rowe for us to pour over. All right, we'll switch gears at 6:06. Got to talk about the possible debate. I mean, again, and also that Kamala Moe continues to flow thanks to Illinois Republicans. Of course. 6:06.
And later, RFK Jr. just Christie gnomed himself. We'll explain, but now let's head straight into that newsroom. And welcome back, Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
An Evanston man charged in the shooting of a 3-year-old on the west side. CPD searching for a swimmer who went missing at a Northside beach. 1 killed, 3 wounded in a shooting outside of a Chicago restaurant. The White Sox have dropped their 20th game in a row, while the Cubs win their series with the Cardinals. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Hurricane Debbie's closing in on Florida's Big Bend area. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Landfall soon.
We could get the very disorganized center of this coming right over us. Very heavy rain, up to a foot, will fall here.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray is in Perry, Florida, but as Hurricane Debbie moves inland, it'll nearly stall.
This really slow motion is just going to dump historic amounts of rainfall.
Jamie Rome at the National Hurricane Center says up to 2 feet of rain, potentially for North Florida into Georgia and South Carolina the next few days. There's a lot of money being lost worldwide, with stock markets going down globally, led by Japan's Nikkei plunging 12% overnight, and futures on Wall Street also down big. So the selling expected to continue here.
The Dow did lose 600 points on Friday. It was because of that, unfortunately, that horrible jobs report. That kind of, got the conversation going about, are we going to have a recession in this country?
Fox Business Network Cheryl Castoni. Israel's waiting for the retaliation Iran vowed, perhaps today, after last week's bombing in Iran that killed Hamas's political leader.
The Wall Street Journal does report that Iran told U.S. and Arab diplomats that it didn't care if its counterstrike started a war. Jordan's foreign minister was in Iran yesterday for a meeting, and President Biden is scheduled to speak with Jordanian King Abdullah II. But there has been very little public Iranian interaction with those trying to avert a crisis.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Haifa, Israel. Vice President Harris is closer to picking her running mate, planning a rally with her VP choice tomorrow in Philadelphia.
Virtual roll call voting for Democratic delegates ends today, but Vice President Kamala Harris crossed the needed threshold last week, securing enough delegate support on Friday. The online voting caps a chaotic few weeks after President Biden abruptly ended his re-election bid.
Fox's Jared Halpern. We just learned Debbie has made landfall in Florida. America's listening to Fox News.
78 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A search is underway for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. CPD Marine units are conducting that search at Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater community. Authorities are investigating after a man attacked several people at a McDonald's with a hatchet-like object in Chicago. Police there say the attacker walked into the fast food restaurant in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue, demanding free food. When the cashier refused, the suspect began to strike victims with the heavy blade. At least 43 people were shot and 5 fatally in gunfire across the city so far this weekend, including one person who was killed, 3 others wounded in a shooting outside of a restaurant on the city's near south side. A DuPage County man faces prison time for selling unserialized firearms and a machine gun conversion device. The Illinois Attorney General's office prosecuted Jeffrey Lavander, who was found guilty of a number of gun charges late last week. Ford's assembly plant on the southeast side turned 100. There was an open house Sunday to mark the milestone. Ford historian Ted Ryan.
So the amazing employees that have worked at this plant over the decades. It's 100 years that produced 15 million cars. That's a whole lot of work that went into it.
The assembly line at the plant has been updated a lot since first opening at Torrance and 126th in 1924. Cubs over the Cardinals 6-2. White Sox have lost 20 in a row, falling to Minnesota 13-7. Sprinter Noah Lyles broke a 20-year drought for the Americans at the Olympics, winning the men's 100-meter dash yesterday. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It has been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years.
The worst president in the history of our country.
The best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
We have a new victim to defeat.
She's tough. She's capable.
Lion Kamala Harris.
What happens next happens here.
Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe.
We face a choice.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois and Wisconsin patriots, come out to the greatest Trump rally of 2024. Support President Trump and help save the American dream. Join thousands of great Americans as we rally for Trump on Sunday, August 18th, the day before the Democratic Convention, from noon to 6 at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. It's an afternoon of music, fun, and messages from many of President Trump's most trusted advisors and closest friends, including Charlie Kirk, General Flynn, Steve Moore, and Kimberly Fletcher of Moms for America. Your MCs for the event will be me, Gary Rabine, and Sean Thompson. There will be many surprises, more all-star speakers, and well-known music groups to come. Join us as we rally for President Trump at the McHenry County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 18th from noon to 6. Get your tickets now at paradingfortrump.com. That's paradingfortrump.com. Profits go to efforts to elect Trump as our 47th president. Paid for by the American Dream PAC. Thank you to our sponsors, Rabine America and Peerless Fence.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call.
If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular's single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Kamala Harris, weak, failed, dangerously liberal. That's the tagline on the first campaign ad put up by former President Trump this week. It ought to run 1,000 times between now and November because it provides a great and memorable summary of the vice president's tenure in office. The likely Democratic nominee is coasting now, riding high on the media's charm offensive. Her poll numbers are relatively strong compared to Joe Biden's. It'll likely last through the end of August as the Democratic convention gives Harris continued energy. But once the nomination is locked up, then the real campaign begins. At that point, she'll be forced to confront her own record of failure and weakness and begin to see the steady drift down in the collective mind of the electorate. The country knows her nervous laughter well. A giggle that attempts to mask her awareness of her own vacuity. Harris is still going to have to talk about complex subjects at some length at some point. That's going to be her undoing. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
.608, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning, platinum, elite, Pella-certified contractor, Valdecast.com. On the Reagan I-88 this morning, an accident eastbound right at I-39. That's a left lane block there. Stevenson inbound, an accident reported between Central and Ashland due to an earlier accident on the 290 is jammed up inbound between 25th Avenue and Oak Park Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Partial sun, thunderstorm in parts of the area today. The high at 86. Partly cloudy, humid. Thunderstorm tonight, low 69. Thunderstorm in spots tomorrow morning. Then partly sunny, breezy, and cooler. The high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
78 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump posted a Truth Social over the weekend. I've agreed with Fox News to debate Kamala on Wednesday, September 4th. This was basically telegraphed by Bret Baier when he was on the show with us on Friday that they have an offer in and waiting to hear. Well, he heard. Trump accepts. The debate was previously scheduled against Sleepy Joe on ABC, but has been terminated, and then Biden will no longer be a participant. And I'm in litigation against ABC and Stephanopoulos, or Slopadopoulos, as he calls him, thereby creating a conflict of interest. The Fox News debate will be held in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at a site in an arena to be determined. The moderators will be Bret Baier and Martha McCallum. The rules will be similar to rules of my debate with Sleepy Joe, who has been treated horribly by his party, but with a full arena audience, says Trump.
All in capital letters.
But what saith Kamala? We haven't heard.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64. Oh, no. That's the same line, 312-642-5600. You can also text us if you don't want to call in. But I mean, good for Trump to finally stand up to him. Not to him, but to the Democratic Party. Because they set the rules, and he just went along, I thought. And I said, no, you got to stand your ground and implement some rules of your own. Have a town hall, have something. But I'm glad. But Kamala said she's going to show up regardless.
Respect to the debates, it's interesting. Meanwhile, one of the topics that's continues to be debated in the Sunday talkies, of course it does, was Trump's comments at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago last week about Kamala's racial identity. And my congressman, Southwest Florida, Byron Donalds, probably a candidate for governor of Florida in 2026.
Good.
Although
George, in Chicago, he was responding to a question from, I believe, Rachel Scott. Like, this is really a phony controversy. I don't really care. Most people don't. But if we're going to be accurate, when Kamala Harris went into the United States Senate, it was AP that said she was the first Indian American United States senator. It was actually played up a lot when she came into the Senate. Now she's running nationally. Obviously, the campaign has shifted. They're talking much more about her father's heritage and her black identity. It doesn't really matter. The president mentioned it.
All right, that was number one.
All right.
Number two, second try, second bite at the apple, if you will.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue.
Sir, one second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
Squishy man.
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for, 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was.
All right, that's the second try. The third try.
I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
Oh, my God. Shut up, George.
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people?
All right, no, fourth try in 5 minutes.
Okay,
if it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm
it.
not the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's
You've done
I
it,
understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
You've done it
Because,
3 times. Every single answer you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
Every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
You asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm.
And every
about
single
what
time you
truly
repeat
matters
the
in this
slur.
election.
That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country.
Well, first of all, it's not a slur to say somebody identifies as one race for one audience or at one particular time for political benefit, and her other another side of her ethnic heritage in a different time or for a different audience for different political benefits. That was really the accusation, was that she's not Indian and Jamaican, is that she pushes one version of herself in some fora and another version of herself in another fora. She uses her identity as a political weapon or shield, sword or shield, depending on her political interests at the time. That's the allegation, and it speaks to, but it's not a slur. and it speaks to her phoniness, which is what I said before, which is where I wish Donald's would have gone in addition to what he said.
If she's black, come out and say, I'm black. And not, that at Howard University,
I think she
white
has said-
people
I think
go
she-
out at
I think
Howard
she
University.
Has said she's black. I'm sure she's. I'm sure we could dig up a clip where she suggests that she's a black woman.
Well, she was in a black sorority, but you don't have to be black to be, and you don't have to be black to go to Howard. No, some people are stupid and think white people do go to Howard. Indians go to Howard. Pakistanis, people go to Howard from all over.
Okay, that's not the point.
When this issue came up, did she come up with her statement that she released? Did she say I'm black? No, she said Donald Trump is still up to his same tricks, blah, blah, blah. Just come out and say it. I'm black.
That's not important to me. If it's important to you, fine. I think it completely misses the point.
Well, she's a flim-flam. She's a con artist.
Well, that's the point.
Right.
The point is that I'm not questioning that your family heritage. I'm saying you use it in this way for political reasons, and it is really debases people that are Indian American or Jamaican American when you're using your identity for political purposes rather than just, this is who I am, this is my family's history, this is my ethnic heritage, and so forth, and so let's move on.
I
but
get
that's
that,
not
but
what
you and I
that's not what
differ.
identitarians
Right.
do.
I agree with what you're saying, but in my case, I don't think that she's just because her dad was born in Jamaica. According to Judge Joe Brown, who's friends with him, he put down that he is Hindu and Irish.
Yeah, well, so if you want to make some sort of Rachel Dolezal argument, that's yours to make. I think that's totally counterproductive. But in terms of the which portion of your heritage do you lead with, this is not the first time this has been raised.
No, our good friend Don Lemon.
It's not just the Associated Press announcing her, trumpeting her as the first Indian American senator elected from California. It was also Don Lemon and April Ryan, the sainted April Ryan, back in 2019. Listen to Lemon. Maybe he needs to go toe-to-toe with Slopadopoulos.
Black woman.
Okay, that's
She-
why
her
I
father
agree with
is a
that.
black
I
man from
agree with
Jamaica.
that. But
Now,
is
I don't
she
wanna get into the
African
pigment. I
American?
don't wanna get into the pigment issue.
But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying
So
to
let's
take
go down-
anything
let's go
away
down- let's
from
go down
her.
into her lineage.
I
Let's
think
go
you're
down-
falling. I think
if
you're
you wanna
falling
go
into
into
a
her
trap of
lineage-
that. All she had to do was
No.
say, "I am black,
No, I'm
but
not
I'm
falling-
not African American." That's it.
Let me
End of
say
story.
this. I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with others. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here
come
in
out of
America.
Jim
Okay, well
Crow.
let's
I'm
go
just
into Ted
saying.
Cruz. Ted Cruz
I'm
was
not
born
talking
in
about
Canada.
Ted
His
Cruz.
father
This
was
is not
Cuban.
about Ted Cruz. You're
I
changing
know,
the subject.
but you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are changing
She's
the
a
subject.
black
This
woman.
has
I don't know
nothing to do
what
with
you
Ted
want.
Cruz.
Okay.
I think that was actually one of Don Lemon's greatest moments.
Yeah,
He's like, "This is not about Ted Cruz. This is not about." I mean,
well, and it's having the effect that I sort of suggested it would, that it's instigating doubt about Kamala in terms of that. She's a fraud. She's trying. The race hustlers are always patronizing, but there's a certain degree of patronizing that is beyond the kin for even those who are otherwise identitarian oriented. Listen to the CBS affiliate talking to some black dudes at a barbershop in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, about Kamala's revolving identities.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
No, a lot of people would disagree with those guys at the barbershop in Harrisburg. I get it, but that's the point. The point is to set the identitarians on themselves, essentially. And I think that's what Trump has accomplished in pertinent part by raising the specter of this issue that has previously been raised, though, now memory hold, because when Trump says something that somebody else said, it's obviously has to be taken in the light most favorable to white supremacy so that the leftists can continue with their rap on Trump.
Well, somebody was arguing with me this weekend, like that message, that question about her heritage and how she identifies should have come from somebody else. And I said, no, it should come from the top. It should come from Trump. And he picked the perfect venue to do it, a place where she was supposed to show up with black journalists because she's black, and she blew him off.
Well, she's supposed to show up with black journalists because
Well,
she's
no.
black? What?
Well, I'm saying if she's black, she should have shown up at that event.
Well, Trump's a honky, and he showed up at the event.
I know. Good for
so
him.
it has nothing to do with your race, whether or not you should show up to an event.
I'm just saying if she's a part of that community and has lived the black experience, then when the black community asks you to speak at something and they're in bed with you as journalists, you go to that event. You don't blow up that event.
Who said that journalists represent the black community?
No, I'm saying that was a group of black journalists.
Who said black journalists represent the black community? In fact, they don't. You know, I'd encourage you to think through this a little bit so you don't just repeat the identitarians rap. 'Cause that's what you do. When you say the black journalists as representatives of the black community and you're black, you better show up. Why? If I'm white or black, that has nothing to do with whether I should show up to a bunch of left-wing black journalists. And who says left-wing black journalists obsessing about things that have very little to do with the plight of many black American families where they mostly live, which is in urban centers? How do they represent those families? They don't even represent the upwardly mobile black families in the middle and upper middle income sectors who are successful through their own merits and they're successful entrepreneurs and so forth. They didn't represent them. These are Marxist apparatchiks, no different than the Chicago Press Corps Asian, honky, black, Latino, whatever. That repeating their lines. Don Lemon and April Ryan, that's cannibalism. They're cannibalizing each other. No one's right there. They're both wrong. Michael, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. Thank you both for taking my call. I applaud Donald Trump for seeking another debate venue. I haven't forgotten the fact that ABC not only employs George Stephanopoulos, but also down in Brazil, who helped out Hillary during her debate. So no, I didn't think Trump should have gone on ABC anyway.
Well, exactly. And who are the Republicans on ABC? Oh, Chris Christie, Matthew Dowd.
Chris Christie's back.
I mean, give me a break. They might as well be these Illinois Republicans like, of course, Kinzinger, Ray LaHood, Joe Walsh. You expect Jim Edgar is a Republican for Kamala. No, the vaunted Jim Edgar, who the Republican Party spent the better part of the first decade of this century trying to get to run for every available open statewide office. If the Republican, here again, in terms of opportunities, what's going on with the Republican Party in Illinois, Dan? Don't you have anything nice to say about the Republican Party in Illinois? The Republican Party in Illinois doing anything? Got any candidates? How can we get involved? Don't get involved. Don't give a dime. Don't support any of these candidates until one or more of the candidates, not to mention the newly minted party leadership. Oh, we got a new state party chairman. We got a new Republican National Committeeman. So? And? The legislative leaders? We got our own Doug Emhoff, minus the playa nature of Doug Emhoff, as the Senate super minority leader and some, again, interchangeable part surrender Republican, both of them co-sponsors of the amendment that essentially turned this state over to the public sector unions as a matter of constitutional diktat. The Republican, the super minority leaders in the House and the Senate did that. Threw in with SEIU, AFSCME, and the teachers unions. And you're looking for an intersection point? Why? Just out of sort of like hoping against hope? the triumph of hope over experience? When the Republican Party or any Republican candidate, I'm waiting, has the temerity to call Edgar and these other quislings and poltroons with former, that formerly had titles and positions in the party, when they formally call them out and say they are excommunicated, that they are not Republicans, stop calling them Republicans. We officially reject the characterization of Jim Edgar as a Republican. He's a Republican in the same way Benedict Arnold was an American. So when the Republican Party in this state, or even individual Republican office holders, want to put a marker down, want to demonstrate, not tell me, demonstrate that they have a point and they have a willingness to put in the fight, first by essentially attempting to clean up their own house and say that we have got to stop the decent. Of course, the press corps is always going to run to these quisling Republicans because it further marginalizes the prospect of any opposition party in this state. Certainly any opposition party that hews to conservative principles or policies. When somebody wants to make that argument and take on these people, let me know. Until then, pay them no mind. The quislings, the poltroons, and all the enablers who sit silently by while these traitors represent that brand in this state.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we're going to talk to retired Riverside Police Chief Tom Weitzel about a number of law and order matters, including the news out that Chicago police traffic stops are down 40% year over year. And this is something that we're supposed to take encouragement from. Tom Weitzel, Riverside Police Chief, retired, 6:36.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
78 degrees at 6:32. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is holding urgent meetings at this moment with law enforcement as he seeks to end days of violence and some attacks on hotels housing so-called asylum seekers in Britain. Starmer has called such attacks thuggery. The attacks began after police did nothing to either investigate or prevent a deadly immigrant attack that killed 3 young children. A Lebanese militant group, Hezbollah, says it's launched a drone attack on northern Israel this morning. The Israeli military says the attack wounded 2 Israeli troops and set off a fire. Hurricane Debbie roaring towards landfall in Florida. Fox's Nicole Valdez is on the ground in Tallahassee.
We have some stronger wind gusts moving through the state's capital here. A break in the rain right now, but we know it's not going to last long as we are expecting to really start to feel Debbie's impacts here over the next few hours and truthfully throughout the day today. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, says they are still expecting impacts from Debbie today, and that includes first and foremost power outages. I've been told here tends to be one of the first main things that they will see is trees start to fall on those power lines, onto those roads, and sort of cause that domino effect of problems here.
Tallahassee is seeing maximum sustained winds at 80 miles an hour. Vice President Kamala Harris has been holding meetings with 3 candidates in Washington, D.C. that may be her vice presidential running mate. The band Aerosmith is officially done touring. The band made the announcement late Friday and then confirmed over the weekend, saying they made the difficult decision because Steven Tyler's voice is too damaged to perform live. Search began Sunday night for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. Chicago Police Marine units are conducting the search at Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater neighborhood. Authorities are investigating after a man attacked several people at a McDonald's in Chicago with a hatchet-like object. An 18-year-old and 2 women were sent to the hospital. At least 43 have been shot, 5 fatally in shootings across Chicago this weekend. Cubs over the Cardinals 6-2. White Sox became the first team since 1988 to lose 20 games in a row, falling at Minnesota 13-7. The news, a service of Progressive Insurance, making bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial, auto, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka always has the best guests.
How do you think this opponent rates against the incumbent Joe Biden?
He was the worst president we've ever had, and her ratings are lower than his ratings, so I don't know how she can do well, but maybe she can. It's a crazy world out there. Nothing good happened during this administration. Nothing.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group. can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. An accident blocking a left-hand lane eastbound on I-88, the Reagan, right at I-39 this morning. Stop-and-go traffic on the inbound Stevenson, central to Damon, 35 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Kennedy outbound jamming up Canfield to I-190 this morning. Inbound on the Edens on the brakes, Cicero to Montrose. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partial sunshine with a thunderstorm, humid, high 86. Partly cloudy tonight, humid with a chance of a thunderstorm, and a low of 69. Right now, 78. Your next news update is at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Covering crime in Chicago is sort of like covering a parade these days. You have these local network affiliates that just set up little reviewing stands, and then you make commentary while the crimes happen in real time. This was CBS Chicago on Sunday, providing some color commentary to a bunch of people looting a Foot Locker at 33rd and King Drive live.
We're told that no police are on the scene right now, and Dave, we can actually see people.
Yeah, they're just picking. That guy right there has 4 boxes. That guy's walking out with 2 boxes. Looking right at our cameraman, Lou. Lou, I hope you're safe out there. This is obviously all happening right now, unfolding at 33rd and King Drive. Someone smashed the window. She's clearly on camera. You can identify her now. And here's another woman. She's walking out with, I don't know what that is.
It appears to be some
maybe?
Or clothing. With some tag.
Oh, I'm watching it right now that you block. Wow.
It's great commentary.
Come and get it. Yeah.
Well, those are symbolic takings, as we learned during the Summer of Love in 2020.
Oh, my gosh.
I certainly hope that if you see any cars, or police did on Sunday, see any cars driving around with, boxed up to the roof of the car with shoes, nobody pulls them over, because we're making such great progress. We don't want to reverse the great progress we've made on traffic stops. This comes from a state-funded media analysis of traffic stops by Chicago police, down more than 40% in the first half of this year as compared to last year. 130,000 fewer traffic stops from January through July 15th this year as opposed to last year. This is supposed to be received as an unalloyed good, except, wait for it, we still have a problem. Not that constitutional police traffic stops are down, but there is still a lack of equity when it comes to police stops across racial demographics. So, in other words, for example, Black and Latino residents are still being stopped more than white residents as a percentage of their population. And the important thing is not to prevent crime or to solve crime or to protect residents. It's to make sure that the police interact with residents of different racial demographics in ways that are proportional to their percentage of the population. That's the key. That's the key if you want a city that descends into madness and violence like Chicago has. For more on this and other law enforcement matters, we're pleased to be joined by Tom Weitzel, who was a police officer for 37 years in Riverside, and the last 13 he was the Riverside police chief. Tom, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Can you comment on this matter of police stops and the push to reduce the number of constitutional Chicago police traffic stops and what the impact is?
Yeah, a lot of those numbers are misleading to begin with. First of all, the study that's even done by the state through IDOT is extremely flawed, always has been. The data that's collected by police officers, most of the time they're checking the box that says other because they just don't want to be able to guess the race of individuals they're stopping. They don't want to do it. If you're not white or African American, they're not guessing the other 6 boxes on there on island specific. They're just not doing that. And any chief or superintendent will tell you, Dan, without a doubt, that residents and citizens, one of the things they want is more traffic enforcement. They never get a request for less traffic enforcement. It doesn't happen. And police officers are trained to make these traffic stops to not only, on traffic violations, but to observe suspicious activity. If your officers can't discern what is suspicious activity in the patrol beat that they're assigned, they shouldn't be a police officer. But one of the skills you have to have is to be able to say that this isn't right. This isn't right, and then this isn't right at 3 a.m. This isn't right at 4 a.m. And if the Illinois Vehicle Code says that one taillight is against the law, that it is a traffic violation, if you stop that car for one taillight, that's lawful. But you would think from what some media outlets put out and some activists put out that the officers are conducting illegal traffic stops, which is completely false.
It's funny. I commented on this over the weekend when I saw the story, and I immediately thought of the criticism from when I was growing up of police as it pertains to majority minority neighborhoods, particularly black neighborhoods in big cities, and the song, which is a favorite of mine, Public Enemy's 911 is a joke. The line from 911 is a joke that I thought of. They only come and they come when they want to, so get the morgue truck and embalm the goner. I'm not as good as Flava Flav, but the point is the criticism then was, where are the police resources for our neighborhood? They just say their attitude is just let them kill each other and then send the coroner to clean it up afterwards. That was the criticism then. Now, from the same people, that's what they want the police to do.
I just read an article that was published by the International Chiefs Association that said that over 88% of the calls that police respond to are calls they respond to. They're not self-initiated. So this belief that police are maybe stopping individuals based solely on race, for example, is fictitious. The officers, even on traffic violations, are responding to speeding cars in the neighborhood, suspicious cars. They're actually responding to something a citizen reported to the 911 center, and then they roll up on this car, and the car takes off, for example, and some cases pursue it or they make a stop, and then they're saying, well, you stopped me only because I am Hispanic, I'm African American, whatever. But the fact is, we're stopping you because we responded to a citizen calling 911, which is what the whole system is set up to do, right? But they're saying that the police are acting biased in that case, which is a total false narrative and not factual.
If you don't respond, you're racist, and if you do respond, you're also racist.
Yeah, you can't win, and that's why you see a lot of these. You read about the traffic stops going down. I can tell you that officers. All three of my kids are still active police officers in Illinois. They don't want to be the next YouTube video. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be their bosses are criticizing them for basically doing their job. My opinion has always been, if you don't like these traffic laws, you don't like the Illinois Vehicle Code, go to Springfield and change it. But what happens is they come up with these policies like, hey, we're not going to prosecute this, like Kim Fox wanted to do. We're not going to prosecute a gun being found in the car if you stop that car for no license plates. Well, that's not the Illinois law. So if you want to do that, go to Springfield and change the law. Just don't use your prosecutorial discretion to not enforce legitimate laws on the books.
Well, look at the Dexter Reed case. He was stopped by Chicago police for not wearing a seatbelt, having tinted windows. And he shot a police officer, fired off 11 rounds, and everyone's acting like he's the victim because he shouldn't have been pulled over in the first place. And they turned it into a racial issue because they said he was pulled over because he's black.
And I saw comments that it was illegal to stop him. Well, he didn't have a seatbelt on, according to the filings from the city attorneys in their court pleadings for the case, the civil case and the criminal case, and. Yes, that is against the law, and you're going to say, well, that's a minor traffic offense. Well, there's a lot of minor traffic offenses that lead to good arrests. They lead to really good arrests, You're still violating the law. If you blow a stop sign, you blow a stop sign. So those are investigative techniques. And, I used to tell my officers that at the airports, for example, the TSA and other security personnel, they're trained on profiling. They're trained on criminal profiling, not racial profiling. They're trained on what to look for criminals, and that's the same thing the police officers are. They're looking at what's not right. Who wants a police officer working for your community that's going to go sit in a parking lot and wait for the next radio call to go answer? They need to be out there professionally aggressively, looking for, preventing crime. That's probably a main function of their job.
I wanted to get your reaction to something else I know that you wanted to address as well, and that was the police-involved shooting of Sonia Massie in Springfield. There has been an arrest of the police officer who shot and killed her. He's been charged with first-degree murder. The sheriff in Springfield, the Springfield Sheriff Department there, has apologized to the family and said, this is not how we train our officers. We did the vetting. This obviously was a terrible judgment call on behalf of the officer. This is the position that the police department is taking, even as the case is pending. And you wanted to address something about sort of the state of affairs when it comes to training, recruiting, and retaining officers that perhaps is a proximate cause of an incident like Sonia Massie.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you that I don't believe that anybody vetted them correctly. I had my detectives, and we would hire contractual employees also to do background investigations for employees or for candidates that would apply for the Riverside Police Department from out of state. And I could tell you that I don't think they did the right one. It's very difficult to get military records. Your investigators need to know what they're doing in these background investigations. They need to know how to read military documents, et cetera. I don't think that was done here. But I think one thing that's being overlooked.
Well, just sorry to interrupt, but you say that because there was a problem in this officer's time in military service.
Yeah, what I think they looked for is dishonorary discharge. Well, that isn't the only red flag in the military. And when you file for a lot of police officers come in to law enforcement from the military, either military policing or they're just military veterans in themselves. And you really need to know how to get those military records, how to read them. They're not easy to read. There's a lot of government codes and a lot of stuff. So if you just see at the top general discharge or honorary discharge, that's not the end of the story. You really have to dig deep into somebody's military record to truly understand what that individual's record was in the military. It's not that easy. So in one aspect, I don't believe they did a really good background investigation there. But I also feel that this push for depolicing, but the push for like lowering standards is absolutely contributed here. There's this nationwide push to lower entry standards for law enforcement officers, and it's actually happening. There's several states that have eliminated the physical fitness standards, entry standards altogether, and they've changed it to by the time you graduate the academy, you'll either be physically fit or they'll fail you, but they allow you to come in. The chiefs and sheriffs are under tremendous pressure to hire anybody just to fill a slot, because after the George Floyd incident, it's been brutal to hire police officers and retain them. And the chiefs and sheriffs are under this pressure to cover shifts. The unions are pressuring police administrators because their officers are working forced overtime, as you see in the city of Chicago, all the time. And they need more bodies to cover minimum shifts, sometimes per FOP contract negotiation. You have to maintain a certain amount of officers per shift, and they don't have those officers. So they're depleting task forces, they're depleting detectives, putting them back on the road just to try to fill slots. And I think you're seeing that the sheriff in these agencies in Illinois, especially the part-time ones, they're just looking for somebody that can get past the minimum requirements in Illinois to be a police officer, but the minimum requirements are being erased. The minimum entry-level requirements are just terrible, and I have never been a fan of that. But lowering those standards is that you're going to get less and less qualified individuals. You're just getting a warm body that they can put on a schedule that says you can cover an 8 or 12-hour shift.
Yeah, and they want, they, meaning Sonia Massie's family and some, leaders in the black community want the Sangamon County Sheriff to resign, and he is refusing to do so. But why do you think he hired him knowing that he had 3 DUIs? Or does that not matter?
Yeah, I can't figure that one. Like one DUI, maybe you can reform something, give you a second chance. That's legitimate, right? But most of the time it's very difficult for policemen because you still lose your license. So your license is suspended for a period of time. You obviously can't drive a squad car. For the second DUI, it's highly unlikely that you would be hired by any agency that did a good background. Because first of all, your municipality or city, Chicago, your insurance carrier isn't covering that up. So if that officer is involved in a crash, you're out. You're the city of Chicago's insurance and suburban municipalities are telling you you're on your own. We're not covering this officer. So that alone would, chiefs and sheriffs would not hire somebody like that. I don't know what they did, really what kind of background they did, except for it was very. I would venture that they didn't actually go out and talk to these other agencies. They didn't go talk to his neighbors where he lives, like a basic investigation. They didn't verify every single document that he turned in. Those investigations are complicated, and they take months. It doesn't happen quickly, but in order to do the best investigation you can, you have to put the work in. And it's not just sitting at your desk running people's names through your computer system. You got to go out, talk to their neighbors, talk to friends, more than they put on their application. It's really quite extensive.
Well, 3 DUIs, you also perhaps have a substance abuse problem. So, the idea of hiring the person. So that was obviously a terrible error in judgment by that department. But I will say, because, you mentioned George Floyd. Well, Floyd's uncle was down there being part of this race hustling, making this a black-white thing. Well, by the way, the Sacramento County State's attorney is a white Republican named John Milhiser, and he's the one that brought first-degree murder charges against this police officer. And for those who haven't seen the video, because there's body cam video of this out, the call was made, 911 call, and the mom, Sonia Massie's mom, says she's basically paranoid, schizophrenic, and she gets jumpy if there's people that she doesn't know, and so on and so forth. So please don't hurt her. So in this case, even if he hadn't had notice, it would have been a bad shoot from what I saw. The fact that he did have notice makes it that much worse, especially if she was not armed. And the argument was, she had like a pot of boiling water and she was preparing it to throw it on the officer from across the room. It's completely ridiculous in my view. But I wanted to get your take on it as well from what you saw, Tom. Is there any defense for the approach that officer took?
No, I agree with you totally, Dan. I watched the entire video. In fact, I think it's worse than George Floyd incident in Minneapolis. And the reason is because they're in her house, right? They're in the residence there, and that officer could have easily backed up. There's no question about that. He moved towards it. Yes, she did grab a boiling pot of water. Just back out of the house. There's no reason to even be pushing that situation. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the video. It's clear that she has some issues when they're
right.
Oh yeah. They asked her if she took her
meds. You need to make a judgment right there as a police officer. Like, you know what? First of all, I need to back up. I don't need to rush in here. Maybe we call the paramedics, get them coming, get another officer, and just stand outside. They already said on the video they checked the outside and there was no prowler. That's what they said. They were going into the house to probably make her feel better and check the inside of the house. But that's when a trained officer has to know to step out. And I could tell you most officers would have done that. They're like, I'm not going to do this. I mean, there's obviously an issue going on here that's beyond me, meaning medical issue, and let's get somebody here that can help with that. I don't see any defense in that video at all, and I'm not one to do that. I'm certainly pro-police my whole life, but you have to call it when when there's something bad, you got to say that too, and that video is really bad.
Well, they
100%.
asked her for her ID too, so that's why they went into the house and she was going through her purse looking for her ID. Which I don't even know why they asked for that. But
Tom,
I don't even know that that's even valid. You know why? Because I guarantee you they were at that residence before. That's not the first call for service they had to her house. So all their dispatch has to do is look up that address. They could call it in on the radio, and they could see who they've had prior contact with. They don't. That asking for the ID in that situation is not a factor.
Tom Weitzel, Riverside Police Chief for the last 13 years of his nearly 40-year career at the Riverside Police Department. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I hope to have you back soon. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk a little bit of presidential security as well as national security. Steve Bucci, Heritage Foundation, our weekly conversation with him at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
CPD searching for a swimmer who went missing at a Northside beach. 1 killed, 3 wounded in a shooting outside of a Chicago restaurant. Several attacked by a man with a hatchet-like object at a Chicago McDonald's. A 15-year-old boy is shot on Chicago's South Side. The White Sox dropped their 20th game in a row. Cubs win their series against the Cardinals. Hester, McMichael, and Peppers get inducted in the Hall of Fame. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
Hurricane Debbie is hitting Florida. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The eye came ashore about an hour ago in the Big Bend region.
This is the kind of pelting rain that we were concerned about.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in the middle of the storm.
Stand by.
He's outside in Perry, Florida.
That's some big wind, some big rain, and the rain hurts. It's just pelting. And when it hits the face, and I got the helmet because this is the kind of winds that can remove debris from buildings and structures. We can hear aluminum in the distance breaking off. The power keeps going in and out.
There are more than 200,000 power outages so far in Florida. Hurricane Debbie's full of rain, and it'll slow down as it moves inland. Up to 2 feet of rain could fall from North Florida to Georgia to South Carolina. Israel's bracing for an attack from Iran or its militant proxies in the region days after the bombing in Iran killed Hamas's political leader.
Israel is taking steps to prepare for a prolonged conflict, as reports indicate the initial Iranian response could come in waves and include extensive missile and drone attacks. A document sent to mayors of northern cities told officials to prepare for water outages, power cuts, and evacuations. And in Jerusalem, an underground command bunker for government officials was opened by the Shin Bet security agency.
Fox's Trey Ingston, Haifa, Israel. There could be another huge sell-off on Wall Street. Dow futures are down more than 800 points on top of Friday's big losses that have sent stocks falling worldwide. Japan's Nikkei took a 12% nosedive overnight.
That's its worst plunge since Black Monday in 1987, 37 years ago. Behind all of this, fears of recession stoked by a poor employment report Friday.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. We just got a Simone Biles update at the Olympics. The Americans won 3 golds in Paris, but today she missed out on a medal in the balance beam, finishing 5th. The U.S. leads the Olympic medal count with 72. America's listening to Fox News.
702, 78 degrees. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A search is underway for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. CPD Marine units conducted a search at Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater neighborhood after a swimmer went missing in that area. Authorities investigating after a man attacked several people at a McDonald's in Chicago with a hatchet-like object. Police say it happened yesterday morning in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue. An 18-year-old and two women were taken to that hospital. A DuPage County man faces prison time for selling unserialized firearms and a machine gun conversion device. According to the Illinois Attorney General's office, they prosecuted Jeffrey Lavander, who was found guilty of a number of gun charges. Chicago's public school system has a growing budget gap. No contract for teachers for the upcoming school year. Here's AM 560's Jim Talamonte in our Loop newsroom this morning.
Chicago Public Schools reported a budget gap of $500 million this year, and Mayor Brandon Johnson did not rule out a high-interest loan to cover it. Truth in Accounting founder and CEO Sheila Weinberg said the city needs to make cuts or add revenue, and she does not consider a loan as revenue.
You know, it's not financially prudent to borrow money to pay for your current expenses. But evidently that's how they roll in Chicago.
Mayor Johnson said the state of Illinois owes CPS $1 billion. Weinberg said that last year alone, the state spent $300 million on the Chicago teachers' retirement plan and another $261 million for the workers who are not part of the teachers' union.
You know, should the state kick in any more? I think people around the state would really question that.
I'm Jim Talamonte.
Cubs earn a series victory over the Cardinals with a 6-2 win. White Sox have lost 20 in a row, falling at Minnesota 13-7. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher wants to stick to the facts.
I'm going to urge you and urge our Republican leaders and urge media pundits on our side of the aisle to cease with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris. There is so much to her record and what she represents that we should easily see her going down to defeat on November the 5th.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Kamala Harris, weak, failed, dangerously liberal. That's the tagline on the first campaign ad put up by former President Trump this week. It ought to run 1,000 times between now and November because it provides a great and memorable summary of the vice president's tenure in office. The likely Democratic nominee is coasting now, riding high on the media's charm offensive. Her poll numbers are relatively strong compared to Joe Biden's. It'll likely last through the end of August as the Democratic convention gives Harris continued energy. But once the nomination is locked up, then the real campaign begins. At that point, she'll be forced to confront her own record of failure and weakness and begin to see the steady drift down in the collective mind of the electorate. The country knows her nervous laughter well. A giggle that attempts to mask her awareness of her own vacuity. Harris is still going to have to talk about complex subjects at some length at some point. That's going to be her undoing. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Jerry Paget, the second enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan until Jerry was catastrophically injured in an improvised explosive device blast. Now, Jerry received a new smart home thanks to our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, the home is in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village. It's in Florida, and Jerry now lives more independently thanks to the specially adaptive technologies. Commit to $11 a month, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, "This product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep," unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, "It cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up." Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. Eden's inbound at 23 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, a solid 55 minutes, O'Hare into the Circle interchange. Stevenson on the inbound side, 20 minutes in from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Reagan, they've cleared an accident, eastbound 88, right at I-39 this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area this afternoon. The high today, 86. Partly cloudy, humid thunderstorm tonight, low 69. Thunderstorm in spots tomorrow morning. Then partly sunny, breezy, and a bit cooler, high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
78 in clouds at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. With respect to the failed assassination attempt on President Trump on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, we talked a bit earlier in the show about the press conference that Acting Secret Service Director Ron Rowe had on Friday, which was more or less a recitation of his testimony before Senate Judiciary earlier in the week, equally underwhelming. Mike Benz, who is a cybersecurity guy in Trump's State Department, now runs the Freedom Foundation online.
Did you say freedom?
That's all he wants. Same thing with, just like Kamala.
Well, when she's a little girl, what do you want? Mama, I want freedom.
Mike Benz wants freedom too online. Mike Benz had this to say, though, about whistleblowers who've come forward. And by the way, in addition to that Secret Service agent who sent that email that Susan Crabtree reported last week, basically saying that for a long time we have performed poorly. We just look good doing it, and talking about the need for leadership change at the supervisory level. There's another whistleblower, at least according to Mike Benz, who is saying that there was a stand-down order given to Secret Service counter snipers, which prompted Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin Republican, to put out a tweet calling on whistleblowers to contact his office. Here's Mike Benz.
Again, we have an affidavit from a Secret Service whistleblower that they were supposed to be there, but they were told to stand down. And so everything else that you're identifying here really flows from this question of why they had such lax security, why they chose to ignore so many standard protocols. Well, that question may be answered by knowing the name of the officer who ordered that stand down from the roof. And that happened at 2 points, right? There was supposed to be someone on the roof. That person had to stand down. And there was supposed to be, as you mentioned, a sniper team with a line of sight to the roof. And they were not there. Now, whether they wandered off randomly or were they given a stand down order, go to, were they told by someone else to go to a different roof? Well, the question here is sort of solved by knowing the name of the person who gave that order, because then you just get all the comms of that agent or officer and see who they're connected to, what advance notice they have. Were they in communications with the FBI? Did they have advance knowledge that there was a deranged loner planning to use the roof? Because if that's the case, then it's case closed and we can move right to prosecution.
Well, it's interesting, though, the phraseology that Ron Rowe uses as compared to Ben's. There was supposed to be somebody on that roof, like there was an assignment,
right?
As opposed to Ron Rowe, who's saying there should have been somebody on the roof, like it was a failure of imagination. So which was it? And, frankly, the more time we spend parsing what does should have been versus there was supposed to be mean, the more conspiracy theories enter into the public consciousness because of the lack of forthrightness by Ron Rowe and the Secret Service and, frankly, the FBI. And if we have to wait for this task force to come back with its blue ribbon report on why Secret Service can't get its act together to make sure they can communicate with local law enforcement under their charge, then it's only going to deteriorate the confidence in Secret Service and FBI more significantly. For more on this, Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, is a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always great to be on the show. Thank you for having me back.
So what was your reaction to Ronald Rowe's offerings a couple of times last week?
Well, we need to continue the investigation. I don't think any bit of information is always slam dunk, we're done, let's move on. We've got to really dig into this, because even if it was somebody, above that team that told them, hey, stand down, I don't think that would have come from just some individual in the Secret Service. If it's at that level, we need to continue to look higher and see who directed them, who in DHS at the departmental level said, hey, we need to cut down on Trump's security. That's a waste of time, and he doesn't deserve it, or whatever may have been said. That needs and deserves further investigation. Look, even if it's the most benign example, the failure of imagination. Somebody just said, well, we're kind of tight, so we'll just skimp on that one. That's not going to be a problem. That's still a massive failure for what is supposed to be the primary protective agency in our country's system. I think I've told you this before, but that event had been declared a national security special event. That is a term of art. It's in law, actually, that when that designation is given to any event, it belongs to the Secret Service. They own it. They manage it. Every asset available takes their orders from the Secret Service. Local police don't do their own thing. They don't get told, well, you guys take care of this and, call us if there's a problem. The Secret Service is responsible. And this is what happens at inaugurations, at the Super Bowl, any of that kind of stuff. When it's a national security special event, they own it.
Right, yes. And so everybody says they own it, and they say, oh, it was a Secret Service failure, it was a failure, and they do the whole, it's a collective failure, so nobody individually has to be held accountable kind of rap. We see this all the time. And here's the problem with this, like, continue the investigation. Yeah, fine, okay. This is, we're nearing a month, so we're more than 3 weeks in. This is not unknowable. Like, the decisions that were made and not made, should somebody have been on the roof, or was somebody supposed to be on the roof? Who was it? Who made the call? What did we know about the interoperability versus the inoperability of the systems? Ron Rowe is talking about, in retrospect, maybe we should put somebody with from our team with the local law enforcement, somebody from local law enforcement with our team, so we can all actually communicate. Gee, what a novel idea. When do we just get give us your understanding of what happened, and then show us the evidence to support your understanding. Give us the pre-event security plan, make this public. Give us the transcripts redacted, in a rational way if there's identities that need to be protected, but give us the transcript of these radio transmissions so everybody sees it for themselves, and who said what, when, and how this actually went down the way it did.
Yeah, I agree. That should happen. It has not yet. That's why I'm saying we need to continue.
Well, I know, but how long does this take? This just does not seem like this is that complicated to get to those conclusions and present that information. That's my point.
I hear you, and I agree. It should be done, and I'm not trying to be a shill for the state Secret Service here. Believe me, I'm as ticked about this as you are. I do protective stuff. I teach it. I help non-governmental entities do this appropriately, and the Secret Service failed. But right now, at this moment, the Secret Service is as busy as they're ever going to get. They've got people out all over the place. However, this is a pretty darn significant event. The former president, presumptive candidate for one of the two major parties, was almost shot through the head if he hadn't turned his head at one precise moment in time. And it was solely because somebody somewhere failed to do their job or was told to not to do their job, and we need the answer. But just screaming about the time, we got to get it done. They've got to do it. We need to keep pushing them. But, I don't think we're ready to jump off the boat and say, well, this is obviously a conspiracy because they didn't get us our answers yet. Remember, they're dealing with Mayorkas here, who has been, an obstruction to the truth basically since the day he got into office, and seems to have no problem looking senators and congressmen in the eye and lying to them. That's who you're holding responsible, but it needs to get done.
Well, what about the gunman, Thomas Crooks? Are we ever going to know a motive of why he was doing what he did?
I doubt it. And that's just, we should have all the information from all these different places he went. We need to stop this idea that we've got to protect the killer's thoughts and everything else because somebody thinks that might be inflammatory. The American people should know that. This is like holding the manifest another shooter for almost a year before it finally was leaked because they didn't want to, bother trans people because this person was trans. I'm sorry. The American people deserve to know this information, and that one, I'm pessimistic. That's why I said I doubt it. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should know. We deserve to know if there's any motive there. Clearly, there's some mental health issues involved. That's not an excuse. That's almost always a contributing factor. But there's obviously some political motivation there as well.
The DOD did not cover themselves in glory last week, I should say. So they announced that there's a plea deal with KSM, the architect of 9/11, and other terrorists that will spare them the death penalty. This plea bargain was reached after, I don't know, nearly 18 years pending the adjudication of this matter. And then a couple of days later, they said, no, there's no plea deal. What's going on there?
Well, clearly, someone delegated to apparently this one-star lawyer that she could negotiate this deal. I'm with you. 18 years to negotiate a deal? Come on. This guy was the worst mass murderer for a single event, I think, in history. Until you add in, genocidal people like Hitler and Pol Pot and Stalin. But they just came to this conclusion now, and suddenly Lloyd Austin, who is that woman's boss, says, after seeing the response of everybody out there, the victims' families, the public, members of Congress, I'm going to change this, and we're not going to give them the deal. You're telling me that's the first time Lloyd Austin heard that? That one-star general hasn't been reporting to Austin's office all this time about the progress of this so-called process?
Maybe Austin was AWOL. Maybe he was AWOL again.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know that he was being treated for a condition for what, a week and a half.
It's crazy.
So I spoke with a former U.S. attorney because when this issue became public last week, I wondered if this is just about sort of ideological opposition to the death penalty from this regime, or is there something that they don't want to come out during trial? And his position was it's really their ideological opposition to the death penalty. Is that your view as well? I mean, first of all, to jerk 9/11 families around more than they have been is, continues to be sort of a rolling national outrage. But in addition to that, is what that deal that was announced and then rescinded, is that, do you think, just about opposition to the death penalty, or is it something else?
No, I think it's something else. Look, if he had a trial today, gave him the death penalty, 10 years before this guy's going to get executed. That's just the way our system is, because there's so many steps to take before you can actually execute the execution. But this is, I believe, more kowtowing to the part of the Democratic Party that wants radical Islam to go away as an issue. They don't want to irritate the Rashida Tlaibs and Ilhan Omars of their party, and executing this guy, they'd be making him a martyr again. Like they're trying to do with the Hamas leader that was taken out by Israel. So all of that is connected. I'm not sure it's that much in the death penalty, though clearly there's a large number of Democrats who are against the death penalty for anybody, regardless of the heinous nature of their crimes. But I don't think that's the sole answer. I think it's more the politics. It's an election year, and I think the election year politics is now what caused Austin to reverse it, because they realized, whoa, we ran this up the flagpole, and not as only is nobody saluting, but they're peeing on the flagpole. So we got to get out of this one quick. And Austin was probably told by the White House, hey, this isn't working. You reverse it. It's pure politics on an issue that should have absolutely nothing to do with politics. And you're right. The only victims now are the people who were already victimized, the families of the people who were killed on 9/11.
Speaking of elections this year, Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan dictator, managed to squeak out an election victory last week. Very interesting. Real comeback stories, given the exit polling showing him down 20 and 30 points. But nevertheless, we talked to Venezuelan who's in this country now and gave us some color on the ground there. And one of the things he mentioned to us was that the opposition party to Maduro, fearing reprisals, since Maduro is not one averse to death squads and the like, they found sanctuary in the Argentinian embassy, thanks to President Milei, not in the U.S. embassy. And what a comment that was on where we stand, despite the State Department's, we're concerned about the outcome of the election that may not have been on the up and up. Boy, they have some keen insight there. The American posture towards Maduro and Venezuela, what will be done, what should be done, and a comment on the fact that Venezuelan opposition party members need to find refuge at the Argentinian embassy and not lacking confidence, I suppose, in finding refuge at the U.S. embassy.
Yeah, I think that's a heck of a message even if the American embassy was willing to take them, and obviously we're not sure whether they would have or not, the fact that the Venezuelan opposition, in their estimation, thought going to the Argentinian embassy was a safer and more sure thing than going to the American embassy is a sad, sad commentary on how people in Latin America see the Biden-Harris administration. It's just crazy that that's their impression of us. It's wrong. We should be the place that everyone can go if they feel that they are being set upon by their own government, particularly a dictator like Maduro. I thought you were very kind with your
yes.
thing of his
comeback.
Wonderful comeback. Yeah, that's sort of God. It's just so irritating to see these things go on, and that's somebody our president calls to try and get their help with our energy problems that he could solve himself in a minute. It's just ridiculous. But this is the same administration that still wants to integrate Iran into normal relations in the Middle East, when Iran is, stirring up all of their employees, the various proxies in Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Syrian government, to widen the war against Israel. They still think Iran can be our friends. That's lunacy. And they do the same thing in Latin America with the Venezuelans.
Steve Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, you take care too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If your credit card debt is stressing you out and keeping you up at night, you need to call Team Hochberg about a fresh start debt consolidation loan. Meet Doug, 75, retired, score 588, pension income, 120 G's a year, living in a $500,000 home. Doug wanted to pay off $35,000 of credit card debt and an $85,000 IRS tax lien. So he contacted Team Hochberg for a fresh start debt consolidation mortgage. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Doug eliminate his credit card debt and IRS tax lien, which saved him over $900 a month. Let's review. Cindy helped Doug eliminate his credit card debt and IRS tax lien, which saved him over $10,000 a year. What are you waiting for? Team Hochberg helped Doug and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What are they saying?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Oh.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just talking about Venezuela and our press corps, a little bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. Wall Street Journal has it. New York Times reporting back in 2006 with the rise of Hugo Chavez. To understand why Hugo Chavez seemed assured of victory in the presidential election, consider the vigor here of that most capitalist of institutions, the stock exchange. Oh, right. For all of Chavez's faults, his government has been extremely pragmatic in economic terms, said a former chief of economic research at the central bank in Venezuela. State-supported capitalism isn't just surviving under Chavez, it's thriving. And remember, Sean Penn and Comrade Bernie and so many op-ed writers on the left were hailing the economic miracle going on in Venezuela under Chavez. Then he dies and gives way to Maduro. Fast forward 18 years. The same New York Times reporting. Maduro declared the winner of the country's tumultuous presidential election. Tumultuous. Yeah. In recent years, the socialist model has given way to brutal capitalism, economists say, with a small state-connected minority controlling much of the nation's wealth. That's not capitalism. That's feudalism. And that's the reversion to a feudal state that happened under these communist thugs. And that's the same program that the new Bolsheviks in the Democrat Socialist Party in this country are on. FYI.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Latest installment of Sports and Politics, doing a check-in of the Olympics as a couple of dudes are slated for some medals in female boxing, 7:37.
And later, Dan, he didn't make the top three. Wah, wah. J.B. Pritzker looks like he's out as a VP pick. But now let's head into the newsroom. And welcome back, Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
7:34, 78 degrees. Hurricane Debbie makes landfall. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis with the very latest.
Impacts throughout the west coast of Florida, starting in southwest Florida and continuing up the coast. This storm has produced and will likely produce significant flooding events from Sarasota, Bradenton area all the way up to northern Florida.
The hurricane also expected to impact South Carolina. Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned and fled the country as anti-government protesters marched on the capital to demand that she step down. Bangladeshi military facilitated Hasina's safe passage out of that country. A Delta Airlines flight headed to Rome from Boston on Sunday was struck by lightning while in the air, and Sunday evening was diverted back to Boston's Logan Airport out of an abundance of caution. Japan's Nikkei 225 share index plunged more than 12% today as investors worry that the U.S. economy is in much worse shape than had been expected. A dumping of a wide range of shares has begun. Share prices have tanked in Tokyo since the Bank of Japan raised its benchmark interest rate on Wednesday. U.S. stock futures are plunging ahead of the market open as recession fears here cause turmoil in the global markets. The Dow, the futures average falling more than 800 points, while NASDAQ futures slid 4%. Search continues for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. CPD Marine units are conducting that search at Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater community. An Evanston man is charged in the shooting of a 3-year-old boy last week on Chicago's west side. Jose Sanchez of Evanston has been arrested. Investigators believe the victim's father was involved in a dispute with the gunman that led to the incident. Cubs over the Cardinals 6-2. Sox have lost 20 in a row after falling at Minnesota 13-7. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees the lies.
If the reason that he is not running is because he wants to pass the mantle on to youth, then why didn't he say that earlier? That's a lie. It's just a lie. It has nothing to do with his age. It has to do with his infirmity and the fact that he was forced out.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Honey, have you seen our roof after that storm last night? I think we need to call someone.
Don't worry. We got the shingle company on speed dial.
But I keep hearing in the news recently how dangerous sloped roofs can be. Our home in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point.
Well, the shingle company isn't afraid of any sloped roofs. Their safety record is spotless, their warranty unmatched, and they offer a low-price apples-to-apples guarantee. Besides, it costs us nothing to get a quote.
The Shingle Company, your local roofing experts who handle even the steepest of slopes with ease. Whether it's residential or commercial roofing, they've got you covered. With 3 generations of building experience, they're also experts in siding, gutters, windows, and more.
I am so glad we called them, and I can't believe our insurance covered practically the whole project.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, I love that they're proud supporters of AM 560.
Visit the Shingle Company today at shingleco.com. Again, that's shingleco.com.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit quickdelivery.com. That's quickdelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with quickdelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
740. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting for less than the price of a monthly car payment. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. Bensonville, an accident, Route 83 near Irving Park. On the west side, Central and Huron reported an accident. Schaumburg, an accident. Higgins and Grand Canyon Parkway. Lombard, an accident. Westmore Myers Road at Roosevelt, all due to thunderstorms rolling through the area, slowing up some of the interior expressways as well. The Dan Ryan now at 35 from 95th Street into the Circle Interchange. The Stevenson at 48 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Partial sunshine in your forecast with a thunderstorm crossing the area. Humid, high 86. We've seen reports of hail up to 1 inch in diameter this morning in Highland Park. Chicago right now with a thunderstorm at O'Hare in 78. Cloudy in 78 at Midway. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
And on this installment, we check back in at the games, the Olympic Games. Simone Biles.
Oh, I know. I didn't even want to talk about it.
Simone Biles, so the women's gymnastics team won the gold all around, and then she won the all around.
Personal all around, yeah.
And she tweeted,
in the vault.
I love my black job.
Really? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. And you don't have to type in DA, by the way.
You know, I like Simone Biles and all, and, obviously respect her as a great athlete. But we had this a moment with her a few years ago when she quit because she wasn't in the right mental headspace. And that was like somehow heroic. And it was fine if she was afraid she was going to injure herself or something I remember discussing at the time. But it wasn't heroic. It's not heroic to quit. It's not heroic.
But she had vertigo or something like,
That's not what she said.
She had the spins.
That's not what she said.
Well, that's what she's saying now, but
she's not what she said at the time. I wasn't right in the right mental headspace. That's not I'm suffering from a condition. And it was she's anyway. And now it's she has to insinuate herself into this manufactured controversy about Trump talking about black jobs. Like, I want to create more jobs for black Americans, and this is somehow
now it's racist
to be racist when it's a relatively a pedestrian phrase that's used ubiquitously, particularly by identitarians who keep track of black jobs and Latino jobs versus honky jobs and Asian jobs and so on and so forth because they're obsessed with non-behavioral characteristics. The ironies abound. Speaking of identitarians, again, trans women are women. But are these two contestants in the female boxing event, are they women? There seems to be some dispute. They certainly don't hit like women, according to the women they've defeated. Both the Italian boxer who lost to the Algerian boxer in question, Italian female boxer who lost to the Algerian boxer in question, and the Bulgarian boxer who lost to the Taiwanese boxer in question, seem to suggest that it's unfair for these two to be participating. The Taiwanese boxer, Lin Yuting.
Excuse me, is something wrong?
Oh, there you go again. For Aldamato. Go ahead.
It was a slow pitch above the plate, and I had to hit it out of the park.
Right.
What's his name? Lin Tangwei?
Oh, now you're going to do the accent, too. Okay. All right.
Well, I don't want to pronounce it wrong and say Lin and with a Chicago accent.
For the Stop Asian Hate Groups, it's Amy Jacobson, SON. You send your letters to AM 560 Chicago's Morning Answer.
I finally got the Italians off me.
Lin Yuting.
Okay. See, now you...
Lin Yuting, that's the boxer's name. I don't want to say her name because we have some controversy. XX or XY here. We got a WBA featherweight champion who's weighed in on this, Sky Nicholson, who is a chick, and she says she's sparred with both of these alleged female or alleged male, depending on your perspective, boxers, and she says that I'm talking about Sky Nicholson. Mm-hmm. That's the she. She says that they were bounce because they were both born with XY chromosomes, but in female bodies. Although I don't
What
really.
does that mean?
They don't really necessarily look like female.
They don't look like
bodies
females
to
at
me,
all.
But
And there's the Algerian boxer. He at one point in time, or she had a mustache,
well,
and that wasn't painted on or photoshopped in.
yeah.
I mean, I know some girls are hairy, but come on.
So this Sky Nicholson, the WBC Women's World Featherweight Champion, she said of Carini, the Italian female boxer who lost to the Algerian,
Mm-hmm.
that it was a publicity stunt. She was critical of Carini.
Oh,
Publicity stunt for her saying it's not fair, and crying hysterically and not shaking hands after the event, so on and so forth. The Bulgarian boxer who lost to the Taiwanese boxer Lin Yuting made an X after the fight and also refused to shake hands, made an X like XX versus XY.
Yep. Good for her. Good for both of them.
And so the IBA and the IOC are sparring publicly about the relative eligibility of these questionable boxers. And by the way, Lin Yuting is already going to at least win the bronze medal.
Right.
So if that's a dude, then there goes a medal away from a female. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And
the Algerian's got a medal too.
Yeah, the Algerian is also. And so the final could be those two.
I would love that. Bring it. But the fact that they're in there to begin with is wrong. I mean, the World Boxing Federation determined that both of them had male chromosomes. They took a blood test. What else do you need to know? I mean, do they have penises? Is that so bold to ask?
I don't
This
know.
Provocative question.
Well, this featherweight boxer, Sky Nicholson,
What's in
says
the
that
pants?
female body. So what does that mean? Does that mean do they have male parts
or did they get their, penises cut off? I mean, these are legitimate questions.
Interestingly, the Italian boxer that got so much attention for saying, quitting 46 seconds into her fight against the Algerian boxer in question, saying, never been hit that hard. It's unfair. It's unfair.
He broke her chin strap off. Whatever.
She then apologized.
What?
Of course she did.
She apologized?
Of course she did. And anybody who's surprised is not paying any attention to this.
Well, what apologizing for
repeat.
what exactly?
Carini, the Italian fighter, all this controversy makes me sad. I'm sorry for my opponent, too. If the IOC said she can fight, I respect that decision. It wasn't something I intended to do, ignoring the handshake. Actually, I want to apologize to her and everyone else. I was angry because my Olympics had gone up in smoke. I don't have anything against Khalif, that's the Algerian fighter. Actually, if I were to meet her again, I would embrace her.
Oh, my God.
Are you surprised by that? Why would you be? Why would you be surprised by that? Where is all the pressure going to come from? And Carini is looking at her potentially career as a female fighter. And on which side do you want to err if you're looking at the reaction within this ecosystem and you're thinking about your career? Where were all the parents speaking up against Leah Thomas swimming against girls in college, in the Ivy League, or generally? Oh, they're mumbling to themselves, mumbling to their daughters, not saying anything publicly. Why? Same reason. There's no punishment to be inflicted on you by participating in the lie. The only punishment comes when you don't. Nobody who says XX and XY, who believes biological males should not compete against biological females, we don't impose any punishment. So if you're looking at incentives and people respond to, and you believe people respond to incentives, which they do, why would you be surprised at the 180 by Carini, a European fighter? Right.
I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, the IOC spokesperson, Mark Adams, said this is not helpful to start stigmatizing people who take part in sports. We all have a responsibility, Dan, to dial this down. and not turn it into some kind of witch hunt.
Phil on the Northwest Side. Hey, Phil. Phil.
Phil, are you there? There you are.
Yes, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't understand why they don't have their own category because, they want to claim they're something different and on both sexes. So give them something different. Put them in their own bathrooms, put them in their own category. I mean, I don't think they let me dress up like a woman just so I could, beat up my ex-wife and get a gold medal.
Maybe they would. Thanks for the call, Phil. No, not a different category, because to put them in a different category, as we've talked about many times over many years that this has been going on, that's participating in a lie. Oh, we're going to pretend that you're a trans woman because you say you're a trans woman? No, sorry. You can identify however you want, but I'm not going to participate in this delusion you're suffering from. Sorry. Or that you're engineering. I don't know what it is. By the way, I want to make sure I got this in.
What?
I do owe an apology to Dana White, because when we talked about this last week, I recalled a fight about a decade ago between Fallon Fox, who is a mixed martial art fighter, man pretending to be a woman, who cracked the skull of another female fighter. And I thought it was UFC sanctioned, but it wasn't. It was an MMA sanctioned fight, different than Dana White. So Dana White and at UFC has never allowed a man to fight as a woman against another woman. So I was wrong about that, and I want to correct the record. But there was, and Fallon Fox, who's this man fighting as a woman, did fight another UFC fighter, and he actually lost after he cracked the skull of another female fighter. So the problem is, not that they're necessarily the best fighters or that a woman can't win, but the problem is, of course, that you have a huge advantage, strength advantage, and it's dangerous, a la Fallon Fox, mediocre male fighter and mediocre female fighter, but still almost killed another female.
Yeah, I mean, do they want to see a female boxer?
An actual female.
When's enough? When are they going to learn their lesson? Do they want to see a woman dead? Severely brain damaged, injury worse? I mean, dying at the hands of a male boxer? It's just...
Jim in Tennessee.
What's it going to take?
Hey, Dan and Amy, I just have a quick question for you. So if it were a more high-profile sport, let's say there was a transgender gymnast that was beating out Simone Biles, do you think the outrage would be any different? Love your show, and I'll listen for your answer.
Of course.
Oh, God, of course. If Leah Thomas made it to the Olympics, are you kidding me? People would be protesting. People would stand up, turn their backs, or walk out. But in this case, I mean, gymnastics or swimming, something high profile, both, or women's volleyball. Okay.
Yeah, I suppose if like Leah Thomas beat Katie Ledecky in some event, then you'd have some outrage. But yeah, it takes that level of profile, I suppose.
And shame. And I told you I'm addicted to the Olympics. We have 4 TV screens going, computer, watching the Olympics 24/7. They have not mentioned a word or have shown any of the fights. All you have to see of these two alleged women boxing. Haven't mentioned it at all. Haven't seen clips of it. Because they do show other games besides the American teams. I mean, you can watch Serbia and China in volleyball, I'm saying. But I'm just saying they've ignored it. They're trying to hide it. And the only way we know about it is through social media.
Greg LaGrange.
Hi, how are you? The absolute hypocrisy of this is sickening. That a higher profile sport would bring out the outrage is just so damning of our entire human condition in this country. The bottom line is this, and you know it as well as I know it. If you created a third category for people that want to declare what they want to declare to fight together, they still wouldn't do it. You know why? Because this individual who took a test and proved to be a male scientifically wants a medal, and he will always go to where it's easiest to get that medal.
Well, there's something else.
That's the human condition.
Well, there's something else to it as well, which is no. I'm not going to be in a separate category because I say I'm a woman, and you will genuflect. You will comply and you will celebrate, which is the program on all of this, from marriage redefinition to gender redefinition.
Exactly. What it is a way for a particular group to break another particular group. And this particular group that I'm part of, I will not be broken. This is sickening, and it should be declared as sickening.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving, but when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repairs all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND, or on the web, vansindustrial.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
By the way, I mean, just on this, I was just reminded, actually, because of an email from Riley Gaines on the topic. This Davidson guy pretending to be a woman trying to make it on the LPGA Tour.
Uh-huh.
He took an alternate spot in the most recent U.S. Women's Open from an actual female golfer. Nobody kicked up a storm. Nobody kicked us. We don't impose any punishment. We won't go to the mat on this, pun intended, since we're talking about sports. And they will. And that's the difference.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, is Carol Marwitz, a New York Post columnist, correct when she argues that Trump must show his softer side and watch his tone in order to get the distaff side? 8:08.
But now let's head straight into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
CPD searching for a swimmer who went missing at a Northside beach. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
It could be a rough day at the stock market. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The opening bell could ring in a huge sell-off. Dow futures down well over 1,000 points on top of Friday's big losses that's triggered a worldwide sell-off. Japan's Nikkei plunged 12% overnight.
Behind all of this, fears of recession stoked by a poor employment report Friday, not expected, shocked investors. On top of that, large consumer product companies are reporting that folks out there, consumers, are weakening in their spending.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. Hurricane Debbie is hitting Florida. The eye came ashore in the Big Bend area about 2 hours ago.
It has simmered down a little bit here in the past 15 minutes, but the past, I'd say, hour or so, we've had some of those heaviest whips from Debbie as it made landfall south of us.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Perry, Florida. There are more than 200,000 power outages, but the bigger concern is all the rain. With Debbie forecast to slow down, Governor Ron DeSantis just said,
"This storm has produced and will likely produce significant flooding events from Sarasota, Bradenton area all the way up to northern Florida.
Negative the same. Flooding problems in Georgia and South Carolina. Some areas could get 2 feet of rain. Vice President Harris is on the verge of picking her running mates.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly met with Vice President Harris in Washington over the weekend. Whoever the vice president picks, the two are expected to appear together at a rally in Philadelphia tomorrow before embarking on a nationwide battleground state blitz.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on the Republican side. Trump running mate J.D. Vance tells Fox,
I don't really care who she chooses as a running mate. It's not going to be good for the country.
An Olympic update. U.S. gymnast Simone Biles, who's won 3 golds in Paris, did not medal today on the balance beam, finishing 5th after a fall. America's listening to Fox News.
78 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Heavy weather targeting northwest Indiana. As you can hear the alarms go off in the newsroom, those thunderstorms are crossing the southwest suburbs, Harvey and Thornton Country Club Hills right now, heading into northwest Indiana. Earlier this morning, they crossed north to south. Highland Park reporting 1-inch hail in some spots. And again, those thunderstorms are crossing into northwest Indiana as we speak. It's also a marine warning out as those storms cross Lake Michigan, and that is prompting a search to be interrupted. That search on Lake Michigan for a missing swimmer at a beach on the city's north side. CPD Marine units have been conducting a search near Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater community after a swimmer went missing in the area. We're also hearing this morning about cancellations as Midway and O'Hare are reporting cancellations up and on the board because of the heavy weather moving through this morning. Cubs earn a win over the Cardinals 6-2, and they take that series at Wrigley. White Sox have lost 20 in a row after falling at Minnesota 13-7. The news service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Global markets and stock futures are slumping. Dow futures have been down as much as 800 points with renewed concerns about a possible recession. July's weaker than expected job growth, just 114,000 new positions, with the unemployment rate rising to 4.3%, has investors bracing for the possibility of the economy skidding. Adam Turnquist, chief financial technical strategist at LPL Financial, says now there's speculation the Federal Reserve could be cutting interest rates by 0.5% in September to head off a recession. Cybersecurity company CrowdStrike is fighting back against Delta's accusations that its botched update cost the airline $500 million. CrowdStrike says Delta did not respond to an offer of on-site assistance. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk believes the rot runs deep.
As we marched through these institutions for many years, I soon realized, one after the other, the rot that our institutions have been experiencing, the infection that is present, the tumor within the once great institutions in Washington, D.C.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost,
Turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
8:08, let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and if you're heading toward O'Hare, there is a ground stop issued earlier this morning, according to the FAA, set to expire soon, as there are delays both at O'Hare and Midway airports this morning because of the heavy weather. On the roads, wet roads are increasing travel times. On the Kennedy, now 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Traveling on the Ike is a 45-minute commute, 390 into the old post office. Slow on the Stevenson between Harlem and the Dan Ryan, 50 minutes to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area this afternoon. The high today, 86. Partly cloudy, humid, thunderstorm tonight, low 69. Thunderstorm in spots tomorrow morning. Then partly sunny, breezy, and a bit cooler, high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Storms and 78 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Oh, what to do about the leftist honky chicks? How can Trump reach out to rich, white, honky chicks in suburban America? Right. How can he make overtures to, for example, this woman, who is basically the median angry white leftist female of your wealthy suburban community.
So Donald Trump was recently shot at one of his rallies. How do you feel about that?
I wish he would have gotten shot in the forehead.
Really?
Oh my God.
I mean, he's basically like teaching our country like what communism is like. So
you wish death upon someone?
him, yeah. Unfortunately, I hate to say that because I don't have hatred in my.
Obviously no not. Hatred here.
No,
but
Peaceful protest.
I think the way that our country has divided families, marriages, all of it about politics alone, like it all really started with him. So.
So do you think wishing someone death is not hateful?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I would say, obviously, I don't wish death upon him. I wish that he would be in jail for like the insurrection, which he should be.
Okay. Yeah, but you just said you wish that he would get hit in the forehead.
Would have made things a little easier on our country, but actually, really, probably wouldn't because the Proud Boys would come out and start probably shooting other people.
Oh,
so.
right.
Got it all figured out.
The Proud Boys?
Yeah.
Do you think that like 60% of the country are the Proud Boys?
Where are they?
That support Trump?
No, I think a lot of it is, wealthy people that only care about the finances and, there's a lot of ignorance, I think, in this country.
Indeed.
And a lot of fake news.
Tell me
and, a lot of just unhealthy, like, bias and
Use your
political
words. Yeah, there you go.
propaganda. I don't think we have we're fucked, essentially, as a country.
Fracked, I think.
Because we don't have a good runner at all. So
A good runner.
Yeah.
A good runner.
Is that a good candidate running? Is that runner? Is that a new political term of art I've missed? Anyway, if you want to have conversations like that, you can go to Starbucks in Hinsdale or Panera in River Forest, and you can pick up that conversation that they were having.
Anywhere in Chicago. People were so disappointed that he wasn't assassinated.
And so that's who you want to try to make overtures to. No, I don't think so. And I don't think all of those Indigo Girls impersonators out there are going to be persuadable either. Like these two lovely childless cat ladies. They wrote a ditty about their kitties.
Childless cat ladies creeping around, nothing but cats on our minds. Cats running around with their tails in the air, they're flashing their feline behinds. Childless cat ladies, young and old, cats are our pleasure and joys. They warm up our laps when the weather is cold and we spend on tuna and toys. Cats can't vote, but we sure can. They need us to do it, and how? We'll take our cats to the polling booth and we'll vote with a mighty meow.
Justin, right?
One more verse. Wait for it.
Okay.
Feel free to sing along at home.
All right, I will. Right here.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, there's a cow and a dish and a spoon. There's a crazy man with tiny hands and a mind that belongs on the moon. There's a Persian, a calico, a Maltese, a Manx. All cats are welcome to us. It's a cat lover's elegy written with thanks. In cat people we put our trust.
Oh, sing it.
Cats can't vote,
But we sure can.
they need us to do it, and how? We'll take our cats to the polling booth and we'll vote with a mighty meow. We'll vote with a mighty meow. We'll vote with a mighty meow.
Not exactly Joan Baez, but I mean, if there's this possibility, I suppose, that you could try to appeal to the criminally insane. By the way, they bear striking resemblance to Doug Emhoff's former nanny.
But where
Those two.
did you tweet this out? Where can I find this video? Because I really enjoyed the song.
Well, it's
as a cat lady.
It's
cat lady.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So Those are a couple of the female cohorts that Republicans are told that they must worry about offending.
Kitties for Kamala. Wow.
I don't think so. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Carol Marwitz. She's a columnist for the New York Post, co-author of Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation. Stolen Youth is the book. She's also the host of the Carol Marwitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. So nice to be on with you.
So cat ladies and, the awfuls in rich suburban enclaves, can we just go ahead and write those off and focus on people who are not, who are of their right mind, generally speaking?
Well, first of all, I'm sure those cats, if they're Democrats, they can vote. So
right.
Hey-o.
I think, yes, largely they should be written off. Absolutely. The people who make songs about their cats voting, they're never going to be Trump fans voters. But I think that it's crazy to assume that the large majority of women agree with these people, because we don't. We largely don't. And, when we talk about Trump getting the female vote, it sounds like he gets like 6 women in like rural, Minnesota somewhere. But he got 44% of the vote, of the female vote in 2020. Meanwhile, the Democrats haven't gotten a majority of the male vote since I think it was Lyndon Johnson. So, we talk about how bad it is for Trump with women, but it's been terrible for Democrats with men. And if Trump can maintain his lead with men, and if he could really focus on the issues that matter to both men and women, the economy, immigration, crime, things that don't involve cats, I think that he can win.
Well, J.D. Vance was a cat man, not Trump. But what about him bringing up Kamala's race or heritage?
Yeah, I hate all of that. I think it doesn't play. I think it doesn't matter. And he has so many things to hit Kamala on that don't cause a conversation about whether or not she's black or Indian or, whatever. Obviously, she played up different parts of her biography. We all know that politicians do stuff like that. I wish that the Trump campaign can get back to where they were even a month ago, where they seemed more focused and more pointed and very, very driven to win. And that's really what Republicans are looking for. They're looking for the Trump campaign to speak to their issues, to talk about the economy collapsing perhaps today. And they want to hear from somebody who will care about what they have to, the things that they're going through, the prices that they're paying at the grocery store. That's what they should be focusing on. This other stuff is just nonsense.
Well, yeah, I think there's a little bit of, there's a flip side to the coin that David Axelrod presented over the weekend. This anxiety that some Republicans have over the introduction of Kamala and the controversy surrounding some of his comments before the Black Journalist Convention. This was Axelrod over the weekend on Kamala and the left's, what the term he used, irrational exuberance.
There's a lot of irrational exuberance on the side of on the Democratic side of the aisle right now, because there was despair for some period of time about what the November was going to look like. Now people feel like there's a chance, but it is absolutely Trump's race to lose right now. He is ahead, and he is ahead most of the battleground states. They're close. They could be won by either candidate, but there's a lot to be determined.
And I think the anxiety on the other side, right, cat ladies and awfuls in wealthy enclaves. But I mean, the focus really is, and the divide in the female vote is really between the married and the unmarried. So
yeah, that's absolutely right.
So strip away the married in these suburban, these honky enclaves, wealthy honky enclaves around the country, and just focus on middle income married couples and their families. I mean, that's where the majority resides. And frankly, to some extent, I'm not on board with the convention. Oh, we shouldn't have raised the fact that Kamala's a phony and she focuses on her Indian heritage one moment and her Jamaican heritage another moment, because it sparks a conversation in places where Trump is making an incursion, like among black men, that raises this prospect of her being a phony. And I think you can develop her being a phony and a cipher on more than just her own identity, but getting into some of the other policy issues too, because as much as we dislike identitarian politics as conservatives, people are tribal and it matters to them.
Yeah, I agree that he's speaking a language that conservatives generally don't speak. But I don't know that it really picks him up both. I mean, maybe with black men, I still think, even when Trump mania was going wild in early July or in June, where I was hearing numbers like, oh, Trump's going to get 50% of the black vote. If Trump gets if he cracks 20% of the black vote, the Democratic Party is in trouble forever.
Yeah.
Which I'd love to see, obviously, but I just don't see it happening. I think that ultimately the Democrats know how to get black people to the polls. They know how to get them to vote for them. Trump is taking a shot at that demographic, great, but really what he should do is focus on what got him the 2016 win and focus on getting those people to the polls, showing that he cares about their issues. And there are plenty of black people who care about the same issues as his, white male base, for example, from 2016. That this isn't crazy. They are also paying really high prices at the grocery store. Again, it doesn't have to be race-based issues that they care about. They care about all the same stuff that anybody cares about.
The choice that Kamala makes for her running mate. What happens if Josh Shapiro, who's a finalist, is not chosen, and the understanding that would logically follow in terms of why he wasn't chosen, given he's the governor, popular governor of a state that Democrats have to have, is because he's Jewish? The fact that the Democrats have to reject him because he's Jewish and he's pro-Israel's right to exist. What kind of impact could that have on some portion of the electorate?
Well, it would show who's running the show on the Democratic side, that the far left has managed to control the reins over there. And it's so funny because he's clearly the best VP for her. And I say this as somebody who doesn't want her to pick him because he's clearly the best VP. He's the strongest VP. He comes, probably wins Pennsylvania if he is her VP nominee. And if they don't pick him, it'll be a giant tell. I'm Jewish. I would like to see Jews vote Republican. I'm very open about this. I think Democrats have been atrocious on Israel, with the exception of one or two. But it is a travesty if Jews vote for Democrats, and especially if Kamala does not pick Josh Shapiro, because it will have told them everything that they need to know. And I would love to see them kind of wake up and realize that the Republicans, especially Donald Trump, has been incredible in Israel. It is just not even close. But forget about Israel. They've been incredible on Jews in America. I think that that red states are the safest places for Jews. I live in Florida. We're not having the kind of insane outbursts that blue states are having. And there's something to that, and Jews need to wake up and see it.
Carol Marwitz is a columnist for the New York Post. She's a co-author of the book Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation. She's also the host of the Carol Marwitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thanks as always.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel services more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
If you know me, you know I love to be active, do yoga, spin, hike, go for bike rides, you name it, I can do it. And I stay active, but I know that day's going to come when my knee's going to give out or my hip or my back. And when it does, I'm going to call QC Kinetics. Why? I don't want surgery. I don't want to deal with the downtime. And guess what? The pain, it's not going to go away. Listen, there's exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Now, if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or an injury, you need to know steroids, surgery, and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility. Get your life back. Here's what you do. Call this number. They will walk you through the process. They'll explain it better. There's a free consultation available, and they have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Choosing where to send your kids to school is one of the most important decisions parents make, and school year is here. You need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family this year, thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. You find a private school near you, you purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school in the fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge, St. Peter Lutheran in Schaumburg, Christian Liberty in Arlington Heights, Ravenswood Christian in Chicago, and many more. So don't delay. The school year is here. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Don't wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
With over 3 decades of serving up streetwise insight and local perspective on Page 2, the voice of John Cass has a home at johncassnews.com.
I'm John Cass, and for too long, so-called progressives have been ruining our world. They've been stepping on us. They've twisted everything from the schools to the media in the hopes of crushing our liberty. Traditional media, mainstream media, like the paper, and anything else you see on TV, well, they're in on it. And that's why you need to join me at johncassnews.com for your daily cup of Midwestern common sense. Don't be a chump alone. Join me on the new frontier of independent journalism at johncassnews.com, where freedom and liberty still mean something. They mean everything.
Go to johncassnews.com to subscribe for daily access to podcasts and columns from John Cass and others. That's johncassnews.com. Click on subscribe.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Get ready to turn up the summer vibes at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells and let the good times roll. Dive into your wildest dreams of adventure through awesome water parks, chill in sun-soaked pools, and keep the whole family smiling. Take on our epic water slides, soar like an eagle from our enormous zip lines, and swing into our world-class golf course. From sunrise to sunset, Chula Vista Resort is buzzing with excitement. Refuel and transport your taste buds to the flavor paradise of our #1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Chula Vista Resort, where adventure and relaxation collide into your unique summer getaway. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com. Chula Vista Resort, the latest chapter in your epic summer story.
For a chance to win an overnight stay, please visit 560theanswer.com, keyword summer. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword summer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, you were talking about penises before?
Yeah, I was.
I don't know if you saw this other occurrence at the Olympics, but French pole vaulter Anthony Ammirati.
Oh, I heard. Oh,
he was trying to clear the 5.7 meter bar, which is 18 feet 8 inches.
Yeah, and how did that go for him, Dan?
He had cleared two heights before the unfortunate situation messed him up. But when he tried to clear the 5.7 meter bar, as he was coming over the bar, his croissant knocked the bar over, and he was unable to. So he finished at 12th with a height of 5.6. Well, a lot of new fans of his male prowess.
You can't even watch. It's been taken off social media.
Why?
I don't know.
It was like
it's a personal problem.
The dong that doinked, right? Remember the double doink that Cody Parkey missed field goal? This was the dong that doinked. Something.
Knocked the bar over, that son of a gun, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, I'm ready. Strap that baguette down before you go for 18 feet 8 inches. And he knows what 8 inches is. I know.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Something completely different than Amy's lowbrow humor. George Gilder, the great George Gilder, he has a new book, The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. We'll talk to George Gilder about that and other matters at 8:38.
But now here's Mike Scott.
We're watching thunderstorm warnings for the south suburbs and northwest Indiana this morning. And we're watching Hurricane Debbie make landfall in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis this morning.
We saw impacts throughout the west coast of Florida, starting in southwest Florida and continuing up the coast. This storm has produced and will likely produce significant flooding events from Sarasota, Bradenton area all the way up to northern Florida.
Debbie is also expected to impact parts of South Carolina and southeast Georgia. Bangladesh's prime minister has resigned and fled the country as anti-government protesters today marched on the capital to demand she step down after a weekend of violence left dozens dead. Japan's Nikkei 225 share index plunged more than 12% as investors worry the U.S. economy may be set for recession. Share prices fell in Tokyo also since the Bank of Japan raised its benchmark interest rate Wednesday. Stock futures plunged. The opening bell on Wall Street and the Dow itself is down over 1,000. Search continues for a missing swimmer at a beach. CPD Marine says on the north side they were conducting a search at Foster Avenue Beach in the Edgewater neighborhood after a swimmer went missing in that area. Blood donations to the American Red Cross are down by about 25% in 1 month. The drop, according to the organization here, happens as the country is facing record-breaking heat and more people go on vacation. There are multiple blood drives across the area. Chicago sports, Cubs over the Cardinals 6-2. Mike Tauchman and Miguel Amaya both went deep. Kyle Hendricks starts for Chicago as they take on the Twins tonight. Meantime, the White Sox fell to the Twins 13-7 yesterday. They take on Oakland tonight. The news, a service of Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher lays out Kamala's record.
They want you to forget that she was in the job in the first place because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't want you to remember that, just like they don't want you to remember that she was the border czar. They're memory holing us. They want to change who she is. And they cannot escape the fact that she got the job because of DEI.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Join Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute for the Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, 7 p.m. Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christianity brings civilization, goodness.
Allie Beth Stuckey, wife, mom, author, followed by thousands on her hit Relatable podcast. Hear her fresh and firm call for Christians to lead in Illinois, in America, for faith, family, and freedom. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christians have always been on the front lines of human progress, set in love.
Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org. IllinoisFamily.org.
He went to doctor after doctor looking for relief and always walked away discouraged. Surgery and drugs hadn't worked before, so why would he try them again? That's when Carmen made an appointment at QC Kinetics.
I'll tell you one thing. I got a spring in my step. The bounce is back in my step. My quality of life improving exponentially since I've been going to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has treated over 35,000 patients like Carmen, using their own healing components, concentrating them into damaged knees, hips, shoulders, and backs. No surgery, no drugs.
The pain's gone, quality of life so much better, and mentally I'm in such a better place because I know that I'm not going to wake up to the same old struggles that I have been dealing with every single day. 10 months ago, no joke, I was a prime candidate for a knee replacement. Today, I'm not because of the treatment I'm receiving at QC Kinetics.
Carmen finally got relief, and it was easy, starting with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start at the airports for you. Midway, almost back to normal. Departures and arrivals after experiencing some gate holds and delays of 15 to 30 minutes. However, not the case at O'Hare. Arrivals are pretty much on time, but there's major delays on departures right now due to thunderstorms. Delays of 31 to 45 minutes or more trying to get out of O'Hare this morning. On the roads, we're watching a solid traffic develop on the Kennedy, especially on the outbound side as you head toward the big airport this morning. Delays as you roll on the I. It's an hour and 20 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan coming inbound, jammed up 35th into the circle. An accident, 3 right lanes blocked on the tri-state. It's southbound between the Cermak toll to the Stevenson, which is the site of the accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Thunderstorms crossing the area right now. Clouds and sun for the afternoon. Still humid. High 86. Currently 78. Your next news is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The price increases under the Biden-Harris regime over the last 3+ years. Gas is up 49%, electricity 32%, fuel oil 46%, airfare 32%, hotels 52%, groceries 21%, eating out 23%, baby food 31%, K through 12 food 65%, rent 22%, used cars 21%, public transportation 22%. Meanwhile, real average weekly earnings are down about 3.5%.
And the average family of 4 in Wisconsin is paying $976 more a month in those basket items. And here's a Trump supporter. It's hitting him hard, not only at the gas pump, but in the beer aisle.
I remember before Trump got out of office, I only had to put $10 in my truck, go back and forth to work. Then all of a sudden it's 30 to 40, and then prices on beer goes up. And hey, that's the working man's Gatorade right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you feel it. No question. That's where you notice it.
Working man's Gatorade. Got to get me some.
All the dissertations on price theory don't amount to a hill of beans compared to hitting the working man's Gatorade. As he said, it's real.
No, it is true. I mean, beer prices, liquor prices, everything you can imagine. Cat food, dog food, it's a joke.
What the left is counting on, though, is the economic illiteracy of, well, a lot of the Nobel laureates that are always cited as endorsing Bidenomics, and the press corps, and a significant portion of the population, I'm afraid. For more on this and other related topics, pleased to be joined by the great George Gilder, investor, author, economist, and co-founder of the Discovery Institute. He has a new book out which debuts August 20th, but of course you can pick up on all the usual places before that, pre-order. The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. George Gilder, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, how would you try to explain the inflation that we were just delineating to the average person if you were sort of making a policy/political argument in the context of this election?
Well, printing money to borrow from the future, borrow from our children and our grandchildren in order to pay off cronies and constituents of crony capitalism today, crony socialism. That's what it is. It's stealing from the future to pay off special interests in the present. And and building and just wasting money out of religious pursuits, like building windmills and solar panels, which yield no power at all. They yield energy, but actual power has to be provided by huge, expensive batteries because of the erratic flows from solar and windmills. So it's all stealing from the future to print money to buy stuff in the present for political cronies and crony socialism.
Do you see a reckoning occurring, like in real time here, with the the hammering the markets took on Friday, and now happening again, even more spectacular fashion. The Dow down 1,200 points already this morning. Are consumers running out of money? Are we finally getting to that reckoning where, per Stein's law, what cannot go on forever will not? The printing and distribution of funny money.
Yeah, well, that's well put. It's all true, and it's all part of the Israel test, believe it or not, because the real question in the Israel test is how you respond to people who create wealth. How do you respond to people who are smarter than you are, or richer than you are, or achieve more than you are? Do you admire and emulate them and try to learn from them, or do you try to tear them down and try to overtax them and suppress them? And that's the Israel test, and it faces us today, and it faces us in the next election. It's in general the great challenge of civilized life is how you respond to merit. You try to tear down merit, achievement, or do you try to build it up and encourage it and foster it and get more of it?
Well, with respect to Israel, I mean, Israel has a big social welfare state like we do. So what's the cultural difference that you're pointing to when you describe maybe one society as being more pro-meritocracy than the other?
Israel is under attack. It's had to fight 5 wars, for one thing. And so it can't make stupid decisions. It can't waste its money. And since 1985, when Netanyahu began taking over and accepted 1 million refugees from communist Russia, Israel has become the startup nation. We actually depend more on Israel for our technology and manpower and genius than Israel does on the United States. There's this great illusion that somehow Israel is just dependent on the United States. The fact is that the U.S. economy would be drastically smaller without the contributions of Israel, genius and intellect, and its startup nation, its wafer fabs, manufacturing for Intel, its Google Waze, its IBM laboratories, its Pfizer, biotech centers. It's a whole. Israel is really a critical extension of the U.S. high-tech economy, and these high-tech companies, 4 of the top 5 companies in the world are founded by Jews in the United States. I mean, we're dependent on excellence and achievement that's epitomized by Israel.
What do you think of the job that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing?
I think Netanyahu has done a tremendous job. This is one of the things that I explained in the Israel test. Without Netanyahu and his supply side policies, his entrepreneurial policies, Israel probably would have failed in 1985. In 1985, Israel was following the kind of policies that the Biden administration has been following here, steal from the future. And as a result, inflation was approaching 1,000% in 1985. And the whole country's economy was in jeopardy, and the whole Israel project was failing. And Netanyahu came. He was a member of the Boston Consulting Group, which is a business consultancy, and he came and he led a financial revival in Israel that has made Israel per capita income today for Arabs and Israelis alike. And there are 1 million Arabs in Israel who are the richest Arabs in the world, and a large group of Arabs in the world. And that's all the product of this amazing economic revival that gives Israel a per capita income today higher than Germany, South Korea, China, Great Britain. It's become one of the leading economies in the whole world while fighting 5 wars against the constant invasions from its neighbors.
So for those who don't know, George Gilder's 1981 book, Wealth and Poverty, was one of the sort of foundational tracks for the Reagan Revolution. You've written a lot about capitalism, really entrepreneurship, and the spirit of capitalism in the sense of entrepreneurship is probably a better word for so many years. And I wonder what your level of belief that we will continue to extol the virtues of entrepreneurship in this country is now, with both parties seeming to be on a more government-centric track.
Well, I think this is we got to face our Israel test. The key issue is whether we believe that the leading venturers and entrepreneurs can prevail without a lot of government support and industrial policy and regulation and control. Today, believe it or not, China has 10 times as many initial public offerings as we do, and Israel has many more initial public offerings than we do. The whole new material science revolution of graphene, it's a new material that's transforming everything, is Israel. And our startups try to be bought out by big companies rather than go public, because if you go public, you got to bring in all sorts of diversity and new regulations that require you essentially to be nationalized. Peter Thiel says going public in the U.S. today is like being nationalized. And this is a big mistake, which I think and hope Trump will reverse in due course. But right today, we're not the startup nation. Israel is our startup nation. Our startups happen in Israel rather than here now.
George Gilder is an investor, author, economist, co-founder of the Discovery Institute. His new book, The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. It's available August 20th, but pre-order it now at Amazon and all the other usual platforms. George Gilder, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a lovely day. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. Suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
And now it's time.
And now, deep thoughts.
With Kamala Harris, something for you to ruminate on for the rest of the day. Cloud storage. I know this has mystified many. Kamala, as she is with artificial intelligence, bit of an expert on the topic. She really breaks it down for the common person.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer in a physical place.
She kind of sounds like me.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I think Trump should memorize that line from Billy Madison for the debate between he and Kamala, because I think that would be a good rejoinder on a range of topics. Kamala Harris talking about cloud storage very much like Billy Madison defining the Industrial Revolution.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Keith Conrad, who's in for Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now here's Mike Scott.
The Dow is down more than 2.5%, around 1,000 this morning in early trading on Wall Street. Fox with the very latest in just a moment. An Evanston man is charged in the